has long handled time-sensitive things like evacuation of casualties. As U.S. forces spread across more and more countries in smaller numbers, however, the Pentagon is finding itself short of capacity and is looking to make this up with contractors. For over 40 years, Robertson Roberts Brokerage has been a trusted source for buying and selling precious metals like gold and silver. And as a Bitcoin-preferred business, Robertson Roberts Brokerage has removed the minimum purchase amount for all orders paid in the digital currency. Call Robertson Roberts Brokerage today for knowledgeable advice on buying and selling precious metals and a forward-thinking approach to new technologies. 800-874-9760 or visit online at rrbi.co. UPI reports after a vote by the state's Energy Commission on Wednesday, California became the first state to require all new homes to be built with solar panels. The California Energy Commission voted unanimously 5-0 to add the requirement to the state's building code. It goes into effect January 1st, 2020 and includes all condominiums and apartment buildings up to 3 stories high. Some buildings will be eligible for exemptions from the requirement, including those shaded by trees or with roofs too small to accommodate a solar photovoltaic system. The CEC estimates the move will reduce greenhouse gas emissions by 700,000 metric tons over the course of 3 years. Commissioner Andrew McAllister said the case for this was extremely strong. In California, we do believe in climate change, we do believe in facts. It's become clear to us that it's the right thing to do and the marketplace is ready. Currently, about 15,000 new homes built in California each year have solar panel installations. The new rule is expected to increase that number to 80,000. Born into a devastating world and raised among the crowd, the Cloudwalker assumes a new identity and begins the unrelenting quest for truth. In this epic journey, he discovers dark secrets about aspects of his previous life that he once trusted. Through the Journal of the Cloudwalker, he shares both the traumatic hardships and the eternal beauties of his experiences. Fueled in the beginning by his unsettling thoughts and emotions, he learns how to find peace with everything he has woken up to. Dear Society by the Cloudwalker is available from Amazon.com and all major bookstores. Reuters reports the National Transportation Safety Board said on Wednesday it will investigate a Tesla accident in Fort Lauderdale, Florida this week that killed 2 teenagers and injured another, the agency's 4th active probe into crashes of the company's electric vehicles. The NTSB said it was sending a team of 4 to investigate Tuesday's crash of a 2014 Tesla Model S that was reportedly traveling at high speed when it struck a wall and caught fire. The agency said it does not believe the Tesla semi-autonomous autopilot system will be part of the investigation. The NTSB said this investigation is primarily focused on emergency response in relation to the electric vehicle battery fire, including fire department activities and towing operations. A preliminary investigation showed the Tesla drove off the road and hit a concrete wall, immediately catching fire, according to the Fort Lauderdale Police Department in a statement. Police said the speed of the vehicle is believed to have been a factor in the crash. The new investigation adds to an already contentious relationship between Tesla and the NTSB. Last month, Tesla launched out at the NTSB after it took the unusual step of removing the automaker from the investigation of a fatal crash in March in which a Tesla vehicle's driver assistance autopilot system was in use. The NTSB defended the decision, saying Tesla released investigative information prematurely and in violation of procedure. Tesla, in return, blasted the NTSB, saying the board was more concerned with press headlines than actually promoting safety. It accused the agency of violating its own rules while trying to prevent Tesla from disclosing all of the facts. This has been FPP Radio News, online at fppradio.com.
According to a report released Monday, Americans currently lead the world in compressing big sandwiches into sufficiently biteable sizes, outranking countries such as Germany, Slovenia, and Ukraine in their sheer capacity to squeeze BLTs, meatball subs, and grinders into shapes that will easily and efficiently fit into their open mouths. Researchers pointed out that in series after series of tests, Americans consistently topped international rankings by implementing over 800 pounds per square inch of compressive force on sandwich categories as diverse as banh mi, croque monsieurs, or gyros, rarely hesitating for more than a moment before diving in and pushing the bread together and wedging it into their mouths.
Even in the cases in which Americans failed to sufficiently compress a sandwich and, say, dropped a stray piece of bacon or avocado, they still led the pack on quickly scooping up this topping with their hands and eating it, sometimes even inventively doing so with a stray potato chip or french fry.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live. This is Free Talk live. We'll give you the toll-free call-in line here momentarily where you can call and join us and bring up whatever is on your mind. But, of course, as we do, we bring things to the proverbial table, including California becoming even more tyrannical. We'll jump into that here in just a second. The we tonight is Daryl.
And Chris.
So, Chris, it's generally a good sign when multiple hosts have the same story. And in this case, the multiple is 2. And we have different versions of the same story out of California, where if you're listening to the LRN.FM stream, that's the Liberty Radio Network, then you actually heard a short version of this in the top of the hour news. If you're actually one of the radio listeners, you probably did not hear that in the FPP Radio News, which is the daily newscast that I do. So California to mandate, and the claim from one of the commissioners here is, hey, we believe in climate change, and this is the right thing to do.
Right.
By forcing every new homeowner to wind up installing solar panels.
Yeah, and by doing so, this is typical. If you love children, if you love the environment, if you love life on planet Earth, you have to support solar energy. So
now, one thing that is before we jump into this. California is also one of those states that, and I think there might only be 1 or 2 states that do not require this. I think it's all of them, but I've been told that there's 1 or 2 that don't require. If you have your own energy source on your property, you are mandated to still connect to the grid. So all of these homes in California that are getting these solar panels, they're still going to be connected to the grid because the law requires it.
Correct. And there's some technical reasons and some technical benefits. I'm not going to say that a widespread distributed energy generating system is always a bad thing. What I have a problem with is when government says, we're going to make these decisions for you, and the cost of your house is going to go up by about 10 grand.
Right.
Yeah, that's where I have an issue. This story comes to us from Bloomberg. Climate change California becomes first state to order solar on new homes. California just sent the clearest message yet that rooftop power is moving beyond a niche market and becoming the norm. On Wednesday, the Golden State became the first state in the U.S. to require solar panels on almost all new homes. Most new units built after January 1st, 2020 will be required to include solar systems as part of the standards adopted by the California Energy Commission.
All right. So if this is such a wonderful idea,
right,
why are they waiting 1.5 years to implement this?
It's a good point, Daryl. Why not require that all homes that currently exist implement solar? Why not?
Or why not just say, all right, every new permit.
Sure.
So the existing permits that are out there to build a house,
right?
You're exempt from that. But every new permit from today forward, you've got to do this. But instead, they're waiting 1.5 years. If it's a brilliant idea, start it yesterday.
Right. And like I said, why just focus on new construction? If this is such a great idea, and
probably because would be ruled unconstitutional under ex post facto if they go back and say every existing house.
What's to stop them? I mean, they've got the Ninth Circuit Court in San Francisco that would probably find in favor of the government. But the point is,
every now and then the Ninth makes a good ruling. Every now and then.
Well, yeah, sometimes.
But
when
it's
one
probably
part of
that 2% botch rule that applies with athletic events.
But sometimes government fights government, and that's where the Ninth steps in, and sometimes they rule on the less evil side of government.
Right.
So I kind of get that. But the long and the short of it is, this is government simply dictating, we believe that this is the way you have to go, and this is California, so we do things like that. While that's a boost for the solar industry, critics warn that it will drive up the cost of building a house by almost $10,000. Solar shares surged on the decision. Home builders fell.
That's $10,000 based on current prices for these things.
Correct.
And as we know, when something is mandated, what happens to the price?
One would think that when, California is opening up this huge new market to solar. Wow. Imagine how far the prices are going to fall on this stuff, and they're falling already. Well, you're exactly right, Daryl. That's not how it works. When things are required, when they're mandatory, then people who sell things lose the incentive to offer better deals. They lose the incentive to become more innovative. Compete, to be more innovative, to come up with new ways to reduce the cost of things. So, if
you're artificially inflating the demand of the product.
They are. When you artificially inflate demand, you are artificially inflating price. And if anybody wants a good example of that, look at Amtrak. Here we have one single competitor, for an example, in this case, dictated by government.
Right.
And we have ridiculous prices on plane or train travel that no one really uses. But there's other things like that too.
Well, we've actually got a call on the line. He wants to talk about water, and that's something that in a lot of places, it's either municipal run or a single company with the blessing of the municipal government services the water. Telephone numbers are 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. We've got Robert calling in from Bellows Falls. Robert, you're on Free Talk Live. Go ahead with your thoughts.
Thank you for taking my call.
What's on your mind?
I called in last night because a story that came out a couple, 2 or 3 years ago out of the Chicago Tribune about these census water meters.
Oh, yeah, the smart water meters.
Yes.
That apparently people were being overbilled on, or the meters were inflating the amount of water that was supposedly used?
Exactly. And then, if you read on into the story, these meters that were, actually gone to where they went to the house and they took the meters back. And, these meters, even though there was water not going through them, they were still running. They were still calculating as water was going through them.
Of course.
And yours truly today, my water was shut off because I can't afford to pay a water bill at $500 in one quarter.
That's
crazy.
Steep.
And so I'm without any water. The town of Bellows Falls, just they shut it off. So I'm beside myself. I don't get it. I mean, it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. Well, question, did you have them come check to see if there was like a leaky pipe somewhere? Has there been some kind of audit of the meters to make sure that the meter is actually working properly?
Well, the town of Bellows Falls says that there's a leak on my property somewhere. And the amount of water that they're telling me that I'm using, Daryl, is enough to flood my property. You know where I live.
Yeah.
And that's not even so. The town of Bellows Falls, the manager from the water department came to my house, went through my basement, went to my bathroom, the kitchen, and found no leaks. Found nothing out of the ordinary. Walked with me on my property. Found no water. There's a cap agency that's in Westminster called SEFCA. It's an organization that helps out people that that have these kind of problems,
right?
And can keep up with their oil bills and stuff. They came here, did an inspection, found absolutely nothing.
Wow. Sorry to hear about that, Robert. Thank you for the call. And definitely keep us posted if there's some kind of good resolution to this.
You bet.
Your calls and thoughts welcome. 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. There's more from California forcing people to get solar panels. This is Free Talk Live.
And not to mention the shedding, I would vacuum the carpet 3 times a week. Frodo was scratching all night long, bouncing on the side of the bed, keeping me awake the whole entire night from all the scratching and chewing. It kind of makes you neurotic.
Does your dog itch, scratch, stink, or shed like crazy?
Mounds and mounds of fur all over the place.
Come to Dinovite for help.
DINOVITE.com.
If you want the dog to be healthy, you got to feed it something healthy.
Dinovite is nutrition.
The omega-3 fatty acids.
Flaxseed, zinc, alfalfa.
Our vitamins and enzymes replace the nutrients cooked out of most commercial dog foods.
He gobbles it up. He's not up all night scratching. His shedding is minimal, and it is such a pleasure to have my calm, relaxed, non-shedding puppy back. And I have to thank Dinovite for that.
Don't let your dog itch, scratch, stink, or shed like crazy.
Come to Dinovite for help.
859-428-1000.
859-428-1000. DINOVITE.com.
Mother's Day sneaks up and we hit the panic button. We get suckered into online flower giants pitching $19.99 flowers that end up costing $60. Or we grab last-minute produce department flowers that smell oddly like green onions. That tells Mom you didn't care enough to send flowers from the Bouqs. That's short for bouquets. And they're bouquing awesome. Bouqs flowers are as unique and special as your mom. They're freshly cut from Bouqs farms and delivered straight to your mom. So they last weeks, not days. Bouqs even has farms located on the side of a volcano that produce flowers so gorgeous, Mom will post pics of them and brag about you. And because Bouqs cut out the middlemen, you'll get amazingly fresh flowers at an amazing price. Show Mom how much you care. Send her artisan-designed flowers from the Bouqs. Order today and get an extra 15% off when you enter FTL. That's BOUQS.com. And remember to enter FTL to save an extra 15%. Bouqs.com.
Free Talk Live, the show where anyone can call about whatever they want. And we do mean anyone.
Sunfest is on the line in California.
Yeah, the greatest danger is that they're destroying the sun and the earth.
Whoa. Slow down, Sunfest.
System.
Slow down. Who is destroying the sun?
The economy. Everything that's happening is a job hunt. It's a job tax.
What are you talking about?
Definitely. The sun is waning, the water is rising, and we need the sun to dry it. When you have an economy that's creating jobs on a war scale, 24 hours a day, the cosmos can't keep up with it, let alone the sun. There's stars falling in Andromeda, which is hurling at us. If you're not informed, you can go out and get the information.
That's our name tonight.
Stop your sexist attack on women, whereas you hear anything
You
that
are
the men
so
have to say.
outrageous.
Free Talk Live, 7 nights a week from 7 to 10 Eastern, live on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
If you want to know the latest about Free Talk Live before we go on the air, all you need to decide is how you want it delivered. It's your choice. Visit news.freetalklive.com. You can get emailed announcements and participate in contests via our email updates list. Plus, we have a Twitter account that you can follow and a Facebook page where you can become a fan. So visit news.freetalklive.com to get news about Free Talk Live as soon as it's announced and the way you want it delivered at news.freetalklive.com. That's news.freetalklive.com. So you've signed the Shire Society Declaration and are planning your move to New Hampshire to be around more liberty-oriented people. Next, sign up for the Shire Society Forum at forum.shiresociety.com. There are a bunch of people there who are already in the Shire, and they want to meet you. If you're already in the Shire physically, you should also come by the forums. Remember, not everyone uses Facebook. New people are signing up for the Shire Society Forum every month, so drop in and say hello at forum.shiresociety.com.
This is the Liberty Radio Network, broadcasting the latest liberty-oriented audio content 24 hours a day at LRN.FM.
This is Free Talk Live, 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. In studio, it's Daryl.
And Chris.
And we're talking about this new rule being passed in California that takes effect January 1st of 2020, which is quite a ways off, but something that is right around the corner is Mother's Day. It's sneaking up, and don't be one of those people that has to hit the panic button. Don't get suckered in by one of those online flower giants pitching $19.99 flowers that end up costing you $60. And don't be one of those people that goes to the produce department and buys flowers that smell oddly like green onions. You know what that says? That says to Mom that you don't care enough to send the best flowers. You don't care enough to send flowers from the Bouqs. That's short for bouquet, and these flowers are bouquing awesome. Bouqs flowers are as unique and special as your mom. They're freshly cut from the Bouqs farms and delivered straight to Mom, so they last weeks instead of days. Bouqs even has farms located on the side of a volcano that produce flowers so gorgeous Mom will post pics of them online and brag about you to all of her friends. And because Bouqs cuts out the middlemen, you get amazingly fresh flowers at an amazing price. Show Mom how much you care. Send her artisan design flowers from the Bouqs. Order today, get an extra 15% off when you use code FTL. That's Bouqs, BOUQS.com. Bouqs, BOUQS.com. And remember to enter code FTL to save an extra 15%.
And back to our story, we've been talking about California becoming the first state to require solar cells on your residential home for all new construction beginning in 2020. The move underscores how rooftop solar, once a luxury reserved for the wealthy green-leaning homeowners, is becoming a mainstream energy source, with California, the nation's largest solar market, paving the way. The state has long been at the vanguard of progressive energy policies, from setting energy efficiency standards for appliances to instituting an economy-wide program to curb greenhouse gases.
Now, let's talk about this thing. What was that first part you said about the ever-emerging solar industry something?
Yes, rooftop solar going from this sort of luxury item that rich greens would want to have.
One time when solar panels first really became a thing,
right?
The benefit and the claim was you buy the panels and then you never have an electric bill.
Right.
But over the last decade or so, I don't think, for the most part, people have actually been buying the panels. What they've been doing is they rent the panels or they get them for free, and I'm using air quotes there.
Because nothing in this world is free.
And then, because you've got to be hooked up to the grid, and so then you just save money on your utility bills, but you don't actually ever own the solar panels. That's why they went from being a luxury, where people actually were paying for them, to, I'm going to sign this 100-year contract with Solar Panels R Us, and then it's going to reduce my power bill by 30%.
Right. And that is the bait and switch that's been going on, and that's why solar is so attractive. I mean,
not to mention all the tax benefits that you get. That's get this credit and that credit and all these other credits.
Without all these credits and without all these basic games that are going on, solar energy is not feasible today. It's not economically feasible. If we didn't have government kicking in billions of dollars to the solar industry, and if you want to find out about that, find out wherever they're building a new solar plant and find out how much government subsidy is going to go into that. Solar panel plant.
Right. And, it's not just solar. Look at any business that winds up expanding a headquarters or adding in some new manufacturing plant.
Oh, yeah.
And then look to see what sort of tax breaks they're getting.
Well, what I'm saying is in an effort to change people's behavior, and this is government attempting to change people's behavior.
Right.
There are people in government that want you to live more green, and because there's money in that for them, and we'll get into that in a second. But on the supplier side, you will find heavy funding, it's basically crony capitalism for the manufacturers of solar panels.
Right.
They get kickbacks, they get tons of money, they get free land, they get no taxes, they get all this stuff. That's the first side of it. And then to encourage the consumer side, government will step in and say, hey, we'll give you a one-time $9,500 tax credit because that makes the solar numbers work.
Right.
And when you remove either one of those sides, if you remove government taking your money and giving it either to people that make solar panels or people that are buying solar panels, the whole thing falls apart. Now, that doesn't mean, Daryl, that I'm anti-solar. I love the idea. I really do.
Especially the whole idea of you buy this and then you never get another utility bill ever.
I just love the idea of being off-grid and being able to support myself. I mean, that would be ideal for me.
Right.
But unfortunately, I live in a high latitude. And, based on my land and things like that, it's not completely feasible for me to do it with a small amount of panels. My investment would have to be enormous. It would have to be a large solar farm for it to work out to where I could
you've got
support
like 1,000
myself.
acres, so you could wind up just clearing off half of that.
Not quite 1,000, but my land slopes the wrong way. It's not facing south, and when you're in New Hampshire, these little things matter. So, but that's the point. I mean, why would you think that it's a success story when an entire industry could not exist without government handouts?
Well, it's a success story because the California Energy Commission passed this mandate forcing everybody to use it.
So let's talk about that a little bit more. And there's so many.
Let's jump to the phones.
Oh yeah, let's do that.
Or actually to the Skype, where we've got Socrates calling in on Skype. Socrates, you're on Free Talk Live. Go ahead with your thoughts.
I work for an energy company, and I'm also from New Hampshire, but I wanted to kind of divert your attention to the fact that Dave Rubin was at the University of New Hampshire this week, and I was wondering if you guys seen him being heckled off the stage.
I don't know who he is. Who is Dave Rubin?
Dave Rubin is a former host of the Young Turks that was essentially realized that he was a libertarian after serving 2 years on the Young Turks, and he started the Rubin Report.
Interesting.
And yet, I think he has about 800,000 subscribers on YouTube. He's known in the circles of like Jordan Peterson, like Joe Rogan, and Brett Weinstein, the other professor that was from Evergreen University that was forced out.
Right.
Generally, he's the free speech piranhas, I would call them.
Interesting.
All right. So, no, I had not heard of David Rubin, did not know he was speaking in New Hampshire, and did not see video. Did anything interesting happen?
Well, I was under the impression that in the New Hampshire, even in the college campuses of the University of New Hampshire, I would expect that the freedoms that we enjoy in New Hampshire, such as the Second Amendment, the First Amendment, would be, held up to a higher respect by the students that are attending their university there. But what they did is they were advocating for censorship of ideas.
All right, hold the thought.
We'll hold you over.
We'll hold you over. I definitely want to hear what's going on here, what happened at University of New Hampshire with this speaker, and your calls and thoughts. Welcome, 855-450-FREE. This is Free Talk Live.
Hunters, anglers, campers, and survivalists. Get back to nature. Expand your horizons with the highest quality, most versatile, unique slingshots and sling bows on the market at slingbow.com. Slingbow products are compact and models start from just $17.98. They're perfect for your bug out bag or storing in your vehicle. Give yourself and your loved ones the excitement and tradition of Slingbow, a new frontier in archery and truly modern twist on this primitive survival tool. Feel the thrill only at slingbow.com. Water is the single most important thing your body needs, so you want to be sure it's the best for you and your family. Since 2005, thousands have depended on Berkey purified water. The Berkey Guy provides the lowest priced filtration systems in every size. For incredibly delicious water now and in an emergency, get to GoBerkey.com or call 877-886-3653. 877-886-3653. GoBerkey.com.
Is spreading the message of liberty, cryptocurrency, and peace around the globe worth $2 per month to you? As you may already know, in addition to our internet feed, LRN.FM broadcasts on free-to-air satellite across North and Central America, as well as Sub-Saharan Africa. And we've been available on satellite for free 24/7 since 2010. The LRN.FM free-to-air satellite signal is reaching some of the most oppressive regimes in the world, and there's no doubt our ideas are making an impact. You can learn more about the channel's impact by watching the 3-minute video at fund.lrn.fm. If you'd like to help free minds globally with our ideas of liberty, cryptocurrency, and peace, you can donate as little as $2 per month via fund.lrn.fm. You can help us continue and expand our satellite broadcast to multiple continents. Visit fund.lrn.fm today, and thank you for your help. Don't forget to share the link on social media. That's fund.lrn.fm. The new 4th edition of Healing Our World, The Compassion of Libertarianism will take your understanding of liberty to a deeper level and has over 1,300 updated references, new cartoons, and a foreword by Dr. Ron Paul. With discounts for multiple book purchases, the 4th edition of Healing Our World is a great gift for the liberals, pragmatists, environmentalists, and Christians in your life who think libertarianism is cold-hearted. Get yours today at healing.freetalklive.com and use promo code FTL for a $5 discount. Some of you asked, and now we've delivered. LRN.FM's live Keene, New Hampshire studio shows are now streamed in HD on Twitch. Visit our channel at twitch.lrn.fm and give it a follow. If you have Amazon Prime, you get 1 free subscription on Twitch. If you use it on our channel, Twitch will give LRN.FM a monthly piece of your Prime subscription cost. So please watch, follow, share, and subscribe to twitch.lrn.fm. That's twitch.lrn.fm.
Hi, I'm Derek J. To me, an activist's calling is to actively work to advance a cause. The cause for which I work is personal freedom. I believe my life is best when I engage in voluntary interactions and self-government. I reject the idea that anyone else has a higher claim to my life or my body than I do. I see people who call themselves the government as a threat to my personal freedom. I realize you may feel differently, but my relationship with the people who call themselves the government is completely involuntary. If Starbucks used some of its money to drop bombs, I wouldn't shop there. So why would I support the American empire? The empire does not require my consent.
Derek J's Victimless Crime Spree. Watch it for free and order the Director's Cut DVD at victimlesscrimespree.com. That's victimlesscrimespree.com.
You can sign up to receive the latest about the Liberty Radio Network via our email updates at updates.lrn.fm. That's updates.lrn.fm.
This is Free Talk Live, 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. We started off talking about the mandate in California that all new homes, asterisk with a few exceptions, beginning in 2020, will be required to have solar power. And we just got a call about from somebody talking about some guy that apparently is famous giving a speech on campus at the University of New Hampshire, and well, apparently it upset some people because he may have said something that somebody didn't like. We'll get back into that, but maybe you want to interact and you want to say things that can't be said on the radio. Well, you can do that in the forums, where you go to forum.freetalklive.com and you can interact with several of the show hosts, other listeners. I think there's, like a very brief, I don't know if application is the right word, but, like you create the account and then you have to do an introductory post before you're allowed to comment on other stuff.
Right.
So, an introduction, if you will. Forum.freetalklive.com, and then you can post whatever weird, crazy, wacky stuff you want to post, and we're not going to wind up saying, oh, you violated code 23.2 of the student handbook that says that you have to have a permit before you speak on student grounds. Going back to Socrates, again, calling in about this Dave Rubin guy that was speaking on the campus of UNH, and something happened.
Right. He was coming into the University of New Hampshire because he was pointing out that the University of New Hampshire this year became one of 500 universities to implement a bias police force, or what they would call a bias task force, where somebody that has the wrong opinion, whether they perceive it to be racist, bigoted, or somehow, politically unsavvy, that they would anonymously report another student who would be required to be subject to an investigation by the police. Now he came in to advocate for just the idea that all ideas should be expressed, and no matter how hateful they are. The idea that Urinal College campus that should be the center ground for being able to discuss and be able to discredit bad ideas.
Right.
And the response to that was that they had people that came in and tried to shut him off the stage. You know, people saying the mindless phrases that protesters chant today, where they just chant to the point where they hope the other person just gives up and leaves.
Right.
Unfortunately, the irony of the statement is he's coming in to discuss why people need to be able to be openly expressing their freedom ideas.
So
and that
the hecklers and
considered to be bigoted.
Hold on,
Right.
Socrates. So I wasn't there. I don't know what was being said by either side, but I'm going to play devil's advocate here and say, weren't the hecklers expressing their First Amendment rights?
That's precisely what they said. And he said, well, the idea of the freedom of exchanging ideas is that your free speech, if you use your free speech to suppress somebody else's free speech by literally not letting them speak, is defeating the purpose of having a free exchange of ideas. So you're defeating the spirit of what you're attempting to do by essentially making the mob mentality to drown out another person's idea because you're afraid to hear what he might say. It's the same effect.
Or maybe they just think that whatever he has to say is stupid. It's not that they don't want to hear it. They just want to be a louder voice.
Right, so no one else can hear that side of the argument. And I get it. And when we talk about freedom of speech and we talk about these things, they are constructs. They are things that we believe are inalienable, and they are protected allegedly by the First Amendment.
And
but
we're also talking about the University of New Hampshire, that according to FIRE, which is the Foundation for Individual Rights and Education, University of New Hampshire gets a yellow rating for not being that friendly towards allowing people to express opinions on campus.
Right. So I don't know. I mean, this to me is a societal issue. I mean, this is not something government has a right to jump in and do. If, one crowd heckles louder than a speaker, then I'm sorry, you missed out on hearing a potentially good ideas. It's don't send your kids to schools like that. That's what I would say.
Well, it's slightly ironic because they decided to actually start chanting him off the stage when he asked for people to give him questions so they could actually have an open exchange of ideas. He wasn't lecturing at this point. He was asking for people to come up and actually speak questions. They used that as the opportunity to start siphoning chants.
Yeah, now, that does seem rather strange.
And that's the sad part. The idea that if it's bigoted to talk about protecting free speech because himself being a gay Jewish male, right? He's saying, I am saying that we should be allowed to hear a Nazi make his viewpoint so we can thoroughly discredit that person publicly.
Right.
And they said the argument from the protesters, if they ever made one, if you wanted to play devil's advocate, was the audible, I guess you could say, perception of those Nazi ideas being expressed will inevitably lead to the death of Jews.
Right. Now, that's the logic.
And that is the logic. So, you have to reach the point where you think, is speech going to inevitably lead to violence if bad people had those ideas at one point in time? Hitler had those ideas. Therefore, anyone that actually expresses those ideas must be Hitler.
Right. It's insanity.
Okay.
Any
I
final
just wanted
thought?
to put that out there. Well, lastly, I'll just close on this. National Grid is the company I work for. That's an energy company, and the solar thing is something that they're getting ahead of. They make it prohibitively expensive through taxes to be able to get off of the grid, for lack of a better term. So what the National Grid made the Massachusetts government agree to was that they will help consumers be able to implement solar power if they agree to sell back any excess energy into the grid for a fraction of the cost, for I guess you could say pennies on the dollar.
Yeah.
So and the bottom line is you screw the taxpayer and the government gets off as they generally do.
Yep. Socrates, thank you for the call. Your calls and thoughts welcome. 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. Back into the article from, is this Bloomberg?
Bloomberg.
Talking about the new decision made by the California Energy Commission that is mandating all new homes, asterisk with a few exceptions, beginning January 1st, 2020, to have solar photovoltaic systems installed.
Yep, that's it. And, and the story goes on to talk about how California was the first in setting energy efficiency standards for appliances and so on. So those numbers really don't mean anything. The big yellow sticker on the side of your refrigerator.
Oh, you're talking about the Energy Star thing? I remember there was a report a couple of years ago where people just made up fake things and sent it in for Energy Star ratings. And because it's such a rubber stamp factory, there was somebody got an Energy Star rating for a gasoline-powered alarm clock.
Nice. It
doesn't actually exist. He just made up a schematic for a gasoline-powered alarm clock, set the paperwork in, and Energy Star said, yep.
Right. But California has set energy efficiency standards for appliances to institute a new economy-wide program to curb greenhouse gases. Again, all these things come with costs that are borne by consumers and taxpayers, not by government. The housing mandate is part of Governor Jerry Brown's effort to slash carbon emissions by 40% by 2030 and offers up a playbook for other states to follow. So Jerry Brown has determined that 40% is the exact right number to heal our planet by 2030 if we slash carbon emissions by that amount.
Right. And yeah, let's actually talk about some of these numbers where the CEC has estimates over a 3-year period. Yeah, the numbers, as they say, might surprise you. And also, how much is this actually going to cost homeowners? Your calls and thoughts welcome. 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. This is Free Talk Live.
Does your dog itch, scratch, stink, or shed like crazy? Come to Dynovite for help.
Order a 90-day supply of Dynovite.
Dynovite is nutrition.
Pick up 2 bottles of LicoChops. Get the 3rd bottle free.
New improved LicoChops with omega-3, omega-6, vitamin E.
And now, 6 extra direct-fed microbials.
Even better for the digestive tract and immune system.
Try LicoChops. Buy 2, get 1 free.
At Dynovite.com.
DINOVITE.com.
The Bitcoin.com wallet is a simple and powerful, full-featured wallet that allows you to send and receive Bitcoin Cash and Bitcoin Core with anyone, anywhere in the world. It supports both single and multi-signature wallets and is available in multiple languages. Use the Bitcoin.com wallet to buy, send, store, and receive both Bitcoin Cash and Bitcoin Core. Learn more at wallet.bitcoin.com.
It's about time something new came along for better selling and buying online. And I found it.
What now, Marge?
It's buysellmakeoffer.com.
Never heard of it.
It's a brand new company. That's why you've never heard of it. It's the newest and best way to sell any products online. I did all the research.
Sell my car?
Yes.
Our home?
Yep.
My golf bag?
Your golf clubs. All of them.
How about your purse collection hoard?
Hey, now.
You said any product.
Right. I did. We get 30 days free.
Really?
Packages starting from only $9.95. And buysellmakeoffer.com will never charge item fees, ever. Never. And this is cool. Listen to this. You can even use Skype or video to show your items.
That's cool.
Yes. All we have to do is go to the website, sign up, and then load our stuff to sell. I love this site.
Buysellmakeoffer.com.
Buysellmakeoffer.com. You got it?
Buysellmakeoffer.com.
Buysellmakeoffer.com. Better selling, better buying.
Free Press Publications is an independent, alternative media and publishing company founded in June 2009 with the mission of ensuring a free press for the freedom movement and is committed to spreading the message of peace, freedom, love, and liberty. FPP also gives new authors an avenue for publishing freedom-oriented material. FPP brings you daily news and commentary on the website, fpp.cc, as well as a daily 5-minute newscast, FPP Radio News, and weekly news, views, and commentary in the FPP Freedom Minute and Peace, Love, Liberty Radio at fppradio.com, and the monthly newspaper, FPP News, at news.fpp.cc. Find FPP online at fpp.cc. That's fpp.cc, as in Creative Commons.
Here's a chance to do a little activism while you're cruising Facebook, Twitter, or Google+. Between the LOL cats, the recipes, the hot girls, and the inspirational sunrise memes, Free Talk Live's posts pass by your newsfeed. Like them, comment. It gives us more exposure. If you don't see our posts, click like at facebook.freetalklive.com and then hover over it to click Get Notifications. It's an easy way to spread the ideas of liberty a bit further. I know you're busy, but you can spare that 1/10 of a calorie it takes to click on something. facebook.freetalklive.com.
Cell 411 is a free app for Android and iOS that replaces government-controlled 911. Cell 411 allows you to preset a group of friends or private organizations to show up at any emergency. Cell 411 is a nightmare for the state because it proves their so-called services aren't needed. Cell 411 has had thousands of installs, and of course it's covered by the BIPCOT no government license. Cell 411 because your friends won't shoot you when you're in trouble. Without the government, who would build the emergency services? You and Cell 411. Get it today at getcell411.com.
What's up next? Visit the Liberty Radio Network program guide to find out at shows.lrn.fm. That's shows.lrn.fm.
This is Free Talk Live. 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. In studio tonight, it's Daryl.
And Chris.
And we'll jump back into the story out of California about the mandate for solar panels on all new houses being built after January 1st, 2020. But, we're not saying that solar panels aren't good technology, because, good technology is good.
Right.
But philosophy behind tech specifically is very important. And I want to make sure that you are aware of Zencash, because Zencash was made by Voluntarist with the ideas of voluntary interaction being embedded into the white paper. With no central authority or single point of failure, Zencash is more resilient than a traditional corporation. Everyone has an equal opportunity to participate in decision-making, which empowers stakeholders and makes Zencash less susceptible to third-party influence. And Zencash allows for secure private transactions. You can learn more about Zencash at zencash.com. That's zencash.com. So the claim by the California Energy Commission is that, well, we believe in global warming, and we're doing our part to wind up reducing greenhouse emissions by forcing people to install solar panels. And the claim right now is that about 15,000 new homes in California each year have solar panels. The new rule, according to UPI, is that will increase to 80,000 per year.
Yep.
The claim by the CEC, or rather the estimate, is that this move will eliminate 700,000 metric tons of greenhouse gas emissions over 3 years.
Well, it's interesting. One of the things, and it's not that I'm anti-environment or anything like that. I love the outdoors. I have property. I love to go out on it. I take care of my property. I make sure that I don't pollute and things like that.
Right.
But these people are the same ones that told you in 1999 that Manhattan would be underwater 3 years ago because they had the settled science. It was all done. The models had projected this. Our math tells us this. Right. These things are going to happen. Florida, most of it's going to be underwater. San Francisco is going to be a thing of the past. All these things that never occurred. And I have a real issue when they come up and tell me that the science is settled when they fail at the basic scientific model,
right? And
which says results, to be a theory, results have to be repeatable.
Right.
And they never get it right.
But also one of the things with science is that true scientists, and some people might accuse me of, pulling the no true Scotsman card here, but true scientists are always questioning the answers they get.
They should. That's how we progress.
Say, yep, that's settled.
The sun.
That's not science.
The sun revolves around the earth. Well, we can put that one aside for now.
So how much is 700,000 metric tons of greenhouse gas emissions? Luckily, the EPA has a calculator that allows us to figure this out.
Of course they do.
So I decided, all right, they've got various things you can choose. If you have energy data, you can select gallons of gasoline, kilowatt hours of electricity, therms of natural gas, or MCF, or passenger vehicles. Everybody understands what a passenger vehicle is.
It's a good one.
All right, so I started plugging in a couple of numbers. 150,000 passenger vehicles produces approximately 710,000 metric tons of greenhouse gas emissions per year.
Okay.
150,000. We're talking about a state with, 49 million people total?
Something like that.
Los Angeles has, what'd you tell me, close to 4?
Yeah, 3.9
3.9.
million.
I'm guessing there are probably 150,000 passenger vehicles in Los Angeles.
Sure.
You just sideline those for a year and you've reduced 700,000 metric tons. You don't need to force people to put solar panels on their roof and then have them hook into the grid to where they wind up getting paid by the solar or by the electric company for excess energy that they didn't even want.
And it would be so easy to do because you live in one of the most statist states, and that is California. All they got to do is come up with some new inspection requirement that most vehicles will not, emit. Like, for example, when we test... No. Follow me here.
All right.
When we test your emission coming out of your exhaust pipe, we want it to be pink. And if not, then you can't drive your car until... And then they could just, make it illegal for, everybody to drive for, 3-4 days. They go, oh, that was so stupid. We'll go ahead and drop that.
See, I was just thinking, you make all of the... So instead of only having one lane that's the HOV lane, you make all but one lane on the interstate the HOV lane.
Right.
And then you basically mandate that everybody carpools to work.
Right.
But then you prohibit having multiple people in a car because then that's illegal ride sharing.
Right. I forgot about that one, Daryl.
So you don't just outright ban cars. You just make it to where you're effectively banning them unless everybody pays their $100,000 a year to wind up getting their ride-sharing license so that they can carpool to work with Bobby and Susie.
I think, and we're joking about this, of course. These are all completely insane things for us to bring up, but that is what many people in the hyper-environmental movement want. They don't want cars. If anything, they want electric cars, which are arguably even dirtier because they have to get their power from somewhere.
Electric cars that generally only exist in market because of the aforementioned tax breaks and subsidies.
Correct. I mean, but when we're talking about these things, and when we're talking about solar in particular, whatever flavor it comes in, it cannot exist without government subsidies.
Right. And one of the interesting things about the electric vehicles now, because there are a sizable number of people that are getting at least hybrids for, some of the subsidies, etc.
Sure.
You've got local governments saying, wait a second, we're losing out on gas revenue because people aren't buying as much gas. We need to find a way to bill people per mile they drive in their electric hybrid vehicles.
Right. And that's come up here in New Hampshire.
Yeah, luckily it died.
Right. Luckily it did. But those are the types of things that are coming on. So it is government implementing policies that are going to, number one, cost you money with the only intent of changing your behavior.
Right.
They want to change your behavior to do what they want you to do. This story continues. The move underscores how rooftop solar, I already read that. This is massive, said Morton Lund, chair of Energy Storage Initiative at law firm Stoll Rives LLP. Essentially, this could turn residential solar into an appliance like a water heater. There's always been a certain inevitability about that outcome, but this is moving faster than most of us thought likely. Perhaps the biggest winner will be San Francisco-based Sunrun Inc., the largest U.S. residential solar installer. Oppenheimer & Company raised its price target Thursday for the company to $12 from $10. We see Sunrun as the biggest beneficiary considering its entrenched position in the state, unquote. Sophia Karp, a New York-based analyst at Guggenheim, said that in a research note. Sunrun rose as much as 15% to $11.34 Thursday, the most intraday trading since November 2016. First Solar, a U.S. panel manufacturer, gained as much as 6.3%. KB Homes, which has significant exposure to the California market, fell as much as 1.7%.
Oh, and does your article talk about the actual cost? I know it said that, there was the prediction that about $10,000. San Diego Union Tribune has a quote from solar contractors in the San Diego area who say that it's actually going to cost closer to $20,000. But the CEC says that, the average homeowner is going to save $16,251 over the life of the house. So basically, we're saving everybody money.
Right.
We're saving them money by forcing them to buy this thing that they would not otherwise buy.
Right.
Because it costs $10,000 estimated, but they're saving $16,000 estimated. So
everything's
we're
estimated.
Reducing the cost of the house by $6,000.
Right.
In theory, based on some really flawed understanding of math.
But we're just gambling on the whole thing. But you understand, it's to make the world safe for our children.
Yeah. No, that's not going to happen. Your calls and thoughts welcome on this or whatever is on your mind. 855-450 free. That's 855-450-3733. Plus a Canadian woman arrested in Georgia.
I tried other brands, but I came back to My Sunshine.
For the best hot or cold pain relief, get the best. Get a Sunny Bay heating pad.
Sometimes life can be a pain in the neck or back or shoulder.
And the best relief for that pain is a Sunny Bay heating pad. Did you know that the American College of Physicians said that one of the best ways to treat muscle pain is heat therapy? Sunny Bay heating pads are handmade with high quality, can be used at home or at work, and have a lifetime 100% positive rating on both Amazon and Etsy.
Why take another pill?
Many people use our Sunny Bay heating pads alone and got rid of the neck pain.
Long distance travel or long hours in front of a computer can take its toll on your body.
See why our homegrown small business at sunny-bay.com has tried to help people just like you. Get your Sunny Bay heating pads at sunny-bay.com. That's sunny-bay.com or call 253-678-1361 for hot and cold therapy. sunny-bay.com.
We've all heard about blockchain assets like Dogecoin, Ether, and Ripple. Bitcoin isn't the only player in the blockchain game any longer. And for those of us wondering how to get our hands on these digital assets, finally, there's a solution. Shapeshift.io allows you to buy and sell between your digital assets and Bitcoin instantly between your own digital wallets. I've used it with ease. Shapeshift.io. There's no account or email address needed. You send them the crypto you want to sell. They send back the crypto you want to buy. It's that easy. Shapeshift.io.
So you've heard all 3 hours of the latest episode of Free Talk Live, and you're still hungry for liberty-oriented audio content? Did you know that we have another 24/7 audio stream at LRN.FM? The Liberty Radio Network airs the latest episodes of some of the best liberty-oriented podcasts on the internet around the clock. In addition to recorded content, you'll also hear live shows like Free Talk Live, originating from our Keene, New Hampshire studio. So listen anytime at LRN.FM. That's LRN.FM.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 2 is next after the news here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
From Keene in the Shire, the Liberty Media capital of the world, this is Daryl W. Perry, host of FPP Radio News for Thursday, May 10th, 2018. Silver is trading at $16.68 per ounce. Gold is valued at $1,319 per ounce. Zencash is trading at $36, and the average price of Bitcoin is $9,337. Antiwar.com reports the Pentagon is seeking private contractors to provide medical evacuation services to U.S. ground troops operating inside Yemen. This solicitation began at the end of April and seeks 4 fixed-wing and rotary-wing aircraft capable of providing services and having ballistic protection systems. This comes amid recent revelations that the U.S. has Green Berets operating along the Yemen-Saudi Arabia border, despite the Pentagon long maintaining their role in Yemen did not involve combat troops. In addition to these troops, the Pentagon is known to have special forces operating in Yemen against al-Qaeda. U.S. Transportation Command wants this to cover not only Yemen, but nearby countries in the Horn of Africa. In practice, this likely just means Somalia, where a number of U.S. troops are present. The reliance on contractors for these services are controversial. The Pentagon has long handled time-sensitive things like evacuation of casualties. As U.S. forces spread across more and more countries in smaller numbers, however, the Pentagon is finding itself short of capacity and is looking to make this up with contractors. For over 40 years, Roberts & Roberts Brokerage has been a trusted source for buying and selling precious metals like gold and silver. And as a Bitcoin-preferred business, Roberts & Roberts Brokerage has removed the minimum purchase amount for all orders paid in the digital currency. Call Roberts & Roberts Brokerage today for knowledgeable advice on buying and selling precious metals and a forward-thinking approach to new technologies. 800-874-9760 or visit online at rrbi.co. UPI reports after a vote by the state's Energy Commission on Wednesday, California became the first state to require all new homes to be built with solar panels. The California Energy Commission voted unanimously 5-0 to add the requirement to the state's building code. It goes into effect January 1st, 2020 and includes all condominiums and apartment buildings up to 3 stories high. Some buildings will be eligible for exemptions from the requirement, including those shaded by trees or with roofs too small to accommodate a solar photovoltaic system. The CEC estimates the move will reduce greenhouse gas emissions by 700,000 metric tons over the course of 3 years. Commissioner Andrew McAllister said the case for this was extremely strong. In California, we do believe in climate change, we do believe in facts. It's become clear to us that it's the right thing to do and the marketplace is ready. Currently, about 15,000 new homes built in California each year have solar panel installations. The new rule is expected to increase that number to 80,000. Born into a devastating world and raised among the crowd, the Cloudwalker assumes a new identity and begins the unrelenting quest for truth. In this epic journey, he discovers dark secrets about aspects of his previous life that he once trusted. Through the Journal of the Cloudwalker, he shares both the traumatic hardships and the eternal beauties of his experiences. Fueled in the beginning by his unsettling thoughts and emotions, he learns how to find peace with everything he has woken up to. Dear Society by the Cloudwalker is available from Amazon.com and all major bookstores. Reuters reports the National Transportation Safety Board said on Wednesday it will investigate a Tesla accident in Fort Lauderdale, Florida this week that killed 2 teenagers and injured another, the agency's 4th active probe into crashes of the company's electric vehicles. The NTSB said it was sending a team of 4 to investigate Tuesday's crash of a 2014 Tesla Model S that was reportedly traveling at high speed when it struck a wall and caught fire. The agency said it does not believe the Tesla semi-autonomous autopilot system will be part of the investigation. The NTSB said this investigation is primarily focused on emergency response in relation to the electric vehicle battery fire, including fire department activities and towing operations. A preliminary investigation showed the Tesla drove off the road and hit a concrete wall, immediately catching fire, according to the Fort Lauderdale Police Department in a statement. Police said the speed of the vehicle is believed to have been a factor in the crash. The new investigation adds to an already contentious relationship between Tesla and the NTSB. Last month, Tesla launched out at the NTSB after it took the unusual step of removing the automaker from the investigation of a fatal crash in March in which a Tesla vehicle's driver assistance autopilot system was in use. The NTSB defended the decision, saying Tesla released investigative information prematurely and in violation of procedure. Tesla, in return, blasted the NTSB, saying the board was more concerned with press headlines than actually promoting safety. It accused the agency of violating its own rules while trying to prevent Tesla from disclosing all of the facts. This has been FPP Radio News, online at fppradio.com.
This is the Onion Week in Review. According to a Stanford University study released Wednesday, there is no logical reason why planes are able to fly. Reiterating that they fully understand the concepts of lift, thrust, and propulsion, lead physicists told reporters they were still unable to reasonably explain how a large 500,000-pound object is capable of staying up in the air without falling.
We've come up with several theories, including wind propulsion, some sort of gravity suspension effect, also the possibility that the clouds pull the plane skyward, but beyond that, just don't understand how a large metal tube could just kind of float in the air like that. And it's going at like 500 miles per hour, which means that when I'm on a plane, I'm also going 500 miles per hour? I mean, that's crazy. I mean, why is my hair blowing back and forth?
The Stanford team added they plan to devote the next 2 years to a new study on why telephones can hear. In other news, an urban planner is stuck in traffic of his own design, and a kid screams behind a passenger during an entire plane crash. Visit theonion.com/newsbeat for more.
Free Talk Live.
This is Free Talk Live. 855-450-FREE. That's the toll-free call-in line where you can call in and join us. 855-450-3733. The us in studio tonight is Daryl.
And Chris.
And during the first hour, we, for the most part, I'd say most of the hour, we were discussing the new legislation, or actually not legislation, the new thing that was passed by the California Energy Commission that will have the force of law,
right,
mandating beginning January 1st, 2020, that all new homes, asterisk with a few exceptions, will be required to have solar panels because, well, we have to eliminate some greenhouse gas emissions, and we're hoping to remove 700,000 metric tons, which the EPA calculates as about the same percentage of greenhouse gases as produced by 150,000 cars in a year.
Right. Well, Daryl, what's really important is we talk about the health of our planet. What's one of the first things that happens when you go to the doctor? They take your blood pressure.
Right.
They take your temperature.
Yeah.
So all this is predicated on getting the Earth to its ideal perfect temperature. And we all know that number, right? That number is
98.63. Oh, wait, no, that's humans.
That's humans. But no, there's a global correct temperature for the Earth to be maintained at on average.
Because if, whatever that number is, if that number happens at the North or South Pole, then a bunch of ice melts and then penguins have to swim, and we can't have that. And then if that number happens at the equator, then nobody can have coffee or bananas.
Well, Daryl, you're nitpicking here. All I'm asking is a very simple question, and that is, what is the correct temperature for the planet Earth? It should not be hard to figure out. They're telling us that all these numbers need to be adjusted, that CO2 must go down, greenhouse gases must go down.
Hold on, but when CO2 goes down, then CO2, for people that don't understand plants, CO2 is what trees and other green things turn into oxygen.
Right.
So when you lower the level of CO2, basically you're lowering the level of plant food.
Well, it's not what plants crave.
Right, that's electrolytes.
Right. Plants crave electrolytes.
Brawndo.
Right, Brawndo. Brawndo is
why would I drink water out of the toilet?
Brawndo is what plants crave, not CO2, Daryl. But you're trying to mix your science here. You have to wholeheartedly simply take the word of the settled science.
Oh, because 97% of scientists agree to something, but at one time, 4 out of 5 doctors recommended a particular brand of cigarette.
That was Lucky Strike, and they were exactly correct in doing that.
No.
That makes as much sense as much
well, it's
climate.
settled science, because 4 out of 5.
Right. Yeah.
It's 4 out of 5 doctors.
It's settled.
The 5th doctor just didn't get the memo. It got lost in the mail.
Yeah, I often think back to it was a Crichton novel. God, I can't remember the name of it, but it had to do with the environment and things like that. And it was basically
the Pelican briefcase.
It wasn't that. There was basically to paraphrase what he said is, what kind of hubris is it of man to believe that we can affect massive changes on the Earth's environment? This thing's been here for 5 billion years through earthquakes, through volcanoes, through meteor strikes, and it still produces life.
Right. And, there are people that they'll look at the micro and then wind up, applying that as if it's the macro.
Right.
So they'll look at Lake Mead. And they say, look, the level of Lake Mead is lower now than it's ever been since Hoover Dam was built.
Right.
And they're right. Lake Mead is lower now than it's ever been. And that's because you've got humans that have diverted water out of Lake Mead so that people in Palm Springs can have golf courses.
Sure.
And so, that's affecting the ecosystem in a micro way, but that is not necessarily, and I know somebody's going to say butterfly effect,
right?
But that's not necessarily affecting, the snowfall on Mount Washington in July.
Right.
Which does happen occasionally because Mount Washington is just weird like that. But changing gears, there was a Canadian woman arrested in Georgia, and, well, as they say, the reason will surprise you. But first, we go to Stefan calling in on Skype. Stefan, you're on Free Talk Live. Go ahead with your thoughts.
I could have swore it was Camels that more doctors smoked than any other cigarettes, not Lucky Strike.
Camels kick your chin.
We may. I may have to Google that.
Yeah, I never can remember which one it was, but go ahead with your thought.
I was actually going to share a little experience I had on the day of the primaries over here.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
When was the primary?
It was 2 days ago. It was on Tuesday, May 8th.
Okay.
I was going to collect ballot access signatures for the Libertarian Party because, as you know, here in Ohio, it's extremely difficult to get ballot access, especially since in 2014, they forcibly removed the Libertarian Party from the ballot.
Not only that, but the governor spent $600,000 of his own money for lawyers to wind up going to court to remove the Libertarians. And Stefan, you are correct. It was 4 out of 5 doctors smoke Camels.
Well, it depends on what time period, because I'm Googling this too. Lucky Strike was during the 1920s the dominant brand, and they had their research done, but I think it changed. It shifted.
The 1949 commercial that someone has posted to YouTube says Camels.
Well, I think if you find the YouTube videos put out by the Lucky Strike Company in 1929 may differ, Daryl.
Continue with your thoughts, Stefan.
Okay, so I went up to the polling location, which in my case happened to be my local city hall, to collect signatures, and I had a bucket filled with buttons for my own candidacy, though I was not actively, campaigning for myself. I was just trying to get signatures to get the Libertarian Party on the ballot again. Mm-hmm. And within 2 minutes, some older fellow who has a poll worker badge on comes out. He's like, "Can I help you or something?" And I tell him, "No, I'm doing quite fine. You really can't help me with anything." He's like, "What are you doing here?" And I said, "Oh, I'm just collecting signatures to get my party on the ballot." And he starts screaming at me, "No, you're not. Keep moving. You need to get the F out of here. You're not allowed to be here. You have to be 100 feet from the polling location." And so I just look at him and I say, "Okay, 100 feet, old man." So I go home. I grab my tape measure. I find 100 feet and go across the street. And then much later on, I realized, wait, why do I even have to do this? He didn't even provide me he didn't even cite me any sort of documentation that says this.
And generally, the 100 feet only has to do with electioneering for the actual thing. And you were not campaigning for anybody that was on the ballot. You were not doing anything that by definition is electioneering, as I understand the word to be defined.
And it just gets weirder because I'm sitting there across the street at the church I go to anyway, which is across the street from the city hall, and this guy starts looking at me with binoculars.
Okay.
Across the street. And so then I go into the city hall, and then he just looks at me and he gets all angry, like, "What are you doing in here?" And I'm like, "Oh, with the way you were looking at me, I figure you really wanted me to vote." And so I ended up getting a ballot and just voting on the issue of whether or not we should redistrict Ohio's congressional maps. We should
Okay.
redraw the districts. But then I just looked at him and I said, okay, back to my post. And he said, we'll see all about that. And so I bring my stuff back over in front of the city hall. And eventually they're just like, this other woman comes out and she's like, look, you have to get moving or I'm going to have to call the police. And I said, go ahead. And she's really hesitant to. And then she pulls out documentation saying, this is what it says. I'm a poll worker. You have to be 100 feet from the polling location. And I said, wait, this says for if you're collecting exit polling and campaigning. I'm doing neither of those things.
Right.
And so it takes a long time for her to get the police to come out. And she eventually does. And they end up
hold
siding
on.
with me.
I want to hear what happens when the police show up on election day dealing with a petitioner, because we can't have that kind of stuff here. This is a two-party system. Don't you understand that?
What are you going to do with 3 parties? That's too many.
This is Free Talk Live, 855-450 free.
What's more profitable, running your business or doing bookkeeping? Doing your business, of course, but you want to keep your books so that you can maximize your tax savings, right? What if I told you that there's a person that's a bookkeeper, accountant, and law school graduate that's also a hardcore libertarian?
My name is Melanie Johnson, and I hate the state. I will aggressively help you to minimize your tax exposure and maximize profits, all while staying within the law.
Melanie's your best choice for your taxes and bookkeeping needs. Go to tax.freetalklive.com and check out our website, tax.freetalklive.com.
Cryptocurrencies are successful because of good technology. The liberty-loving voluntarists who founded Zencash in 2017 took the best tech, like zero-knowledge anonymity and decentralized autonomous organizations, and are creating a secure platform for money, messages, and media that can be sent to anyone, anywhere in the world. Zencash is a cryptocurrency dedicated to peace, anonymity, and decentralization. Find out more at zencash.com. That's zencash.com.
Mother's Day sneaks up and we hit the panic button. We get suckered into online flower giants pitching $19.99 flowers that end up costing $60. Or we grab last-minute produce department flowers that smell oddly of green onions. That tells Mom you don't care enough to send flowers from the Bouqs. That's short for bouquets, and they're bouquing awesome. Bouqs flowers are as unique and special as your mom. They're freshly cut from Bouqs farms, delivered straight to your mom, so they'll last weeks, not days. Bouqs even has farms located on the side of a volcano that produce flowers so gorgeous, Mom will post pics of them and brag about you. And because Bouqs cut out the middlemen, you'll get amazingly fresh cut flowers at an amazing price. Show Mom how much you care. Send her artisan design flowers from the Bouqs. Order today and get an extra 15% off when you enter FTL. That's BOUQS.com, and remember to enter FTL to save an extra 15%. Bouqs.com.
On Free Talk Live, we're bringing people to the ideas of liberty every day. From wrestling superstars like Glenn Jacobs.
You guys really are having an impact, I believe. Like I said, a lot of where I am now is due to listening to Free Talk Live. You changed my mind on some very important issues years ago.
To random people tuning in on the radio.
I was kind of stuck in the left-right paradigm. I heard your show by chance on a Saturday night. From there, I went on, joined the Free State Project, and become an amplifier. So, I mean, that's really the reason why I amp is because I know that if it wasn't for you guys being on as many stations as you are, I never would have found the ideas of liberty.
Your amp will directly change more lives by getting Free Talk Live in front of people looking for talk radio online and on the air. When you amp Free Talk Live, you get perks like access to the AMP-only Facebook group and AMP podcast. Visit amp.freetalklive.com.
LRN.FM is proud to announce our official listening apps for Android and iOS devices. Now you can easily tune into our streams anywhere, anytime on your smartphone or tablet. Just visit apps.lrn.fm or search for LRN.FM in the Android or Apple app stores. Please download, rate us 5 stars, then share the link on your social media, and let your friends and family know how you're listening to LRN.FM. Download it now, free, at apps.lrn.fm.
When you hear the word lobbyist, you probably think about greedy corporations, but not all lobbyists are the same. Some are fighting for the freedoms you hold dear. Liberty Lobby LLC is doing just that in New Hampshire, working hard to represent you, not some special interest group. You can help by going to libertylobby.info, where your contribution will give us the tools we need to ensure that your voice is heard. Visit libertylobby.info today to find out more.
If you enjoy LRN.FM, please contribute to your favorite shows via their websites and become an amplifier at amp.lrn.fm. That's amp.lrn.fm.
This is Free Talk Live, 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. In studio, it's Daryl.
And Chris.
And we'll get back to the phones in just a second. But first, I want to make sure that you know about a source for news on all things crypto. Recent headline... they've got an article here about launching an ICO token on Ethereum. Takes less than 30 minutes. I don't necessarily advocate launching Ethereum tokens because I'm not a big fan of Ethereum, but if you want to clog up their platform with your useless token, they've got a story on how you can do that. They also have stories about the history of messages hidden within the Bitcoin blockchain. You can find that and all kinds of other crypto-related news at news.bitcoin.com. And, of course, they have their own forums. You can play games and do so much more over at news.bitcoin.com. So we've got Stefan calling in from Ohio. Stefan, on this past Tuesday, apparently there was a primary election in Ohio. And as a libertarian, you went out to gather signatures to wind up help accumulate a number of signatures equal to or greater than 3% of the total votes cast for those offices in the last statewide election. And you ran into some problems with polling workers who were saying you aren't allowed to collect signatures on petitions this close to the polling place. And I found something that is, I believe this is the official handbook about elections from the Secretary of State of Ohio. And on page 100 of the 592-page document, it says, occasionally groups may station persons outside of a polling location to gather signatures on a petition. Persons are not permitted to collect signatures inside of a polling location, which you weren't doing.
Nope.
It says, or within the neutral zone outside of the polling location, i.e., that area within an area marked by the placement of 2 small U.S. flags. However, there's no prohibition against collecting signatures outside of the neutral zone.
Yeah, and that's what I had ended up trying to explain to them, that I was on the sidewalk, because there was a pretty sizable parking lot in between me and the doors of the polling location. I wasn't harassing voters either, because one of the excuses he gave was, well, you are blocking voters from getting in. And I just turn around and I look at the ultra-wide sidewalk and say, what are you talking about?
Right.
And I already told him, I was like, I'm not even approaching people when they're going into the polls. I wait until they come out. So that way I'm not bugging them. And I got turned down by a lot of people to sign my form. But anyway, I was saying they had called the police, and they were talking to the police for like 15 minutes or so. I saw them on the phone. I wasn't necessarily listening to what they were saying. In fact, in that time, I actually managed to go over to the church and use the bathroom and come back because I just got tired of waiting. And so I had to explain to the police, they claim that I am breaking rules here, but I am not doing any exit polling and I'm not campaigning.
Right.
And the people inside of the polling location said, well, you've got these buttons on your shirt that say Stefan Quinn for governor. So clearly you're campaigning.
You're campaigning for somebody that's not on the primary election ballot. So therefore that's not campaigning.
Yeah. And it's like, we didn't even participate in the primaries. So after which the police sat there for 15 minutes talking back and forth between us, and eventually they looked at me and they said, we don't see that you're doing anything wrong, but they said these guys are just going to, keep harassing you in that case. And this was the chief of police that came out because the city hall was right next to the police station. So I didn't have to wait very long. And he was like, look, all you're going to do is set their hair on fire. He said, I personally don't care what you do. But he said, if they keep bugging us, this is going to turn into a bit of a problem.
Right.
So they said, we recommend you leave because we don't want you getting in a shouting match with any of these polling workers. Because I was just sitting there trying to collect signatures, and this old guy comes out and starts screaming at me.
It's interesting. So I'm Googling too, and I see a couple things put out by different groups. I've been trying to find the actual law. Ohio seems to be one of those places that doesn't like things to go on around a polling place other than
most states
just voting. Right. But for example, in New Hampshire, it's 10 feet from the door.
Well, no, there's something called a corridor that is 10 feet wide.
I understand that. But in this case, Ohio basically says, when you're buying your supplies for your petition or for your election, buy 2 U.S. flags and stick them out there 100 feet so you can see exactly how far it is. So in this from Democracy is for People, a public citizen project, they say petitioning is explicitly prohibited within 100 feet of polling places and within 10 feet of walking voters. And they go on to list a couple Ohio laws, but it's not really clear. And I think what they would grab you for or threaten you with would be to, quote, loiter, congregate, or engage in any kind of
right. And I've got
activity.
That statute pulled up, and one of the things is if they deem that you are hindering or delaying an elector, which a voter, from reaching or leaving the polling place, then they can charge you with this no loitering thing. But again, you said that the police chief said you're not breaking any law.
Yeah, he said the only problem we were going to have is if the guy kept coming out and yelling at me, which I figured think that would cause him to get in trouble. But he said that they would have to remove me if I'm causing a problem. And it's like, I didn't think I was causing a problem. And I don't think you guys realize just how irate this guy got. I mean,
I can imagine. I've seen irate polling workers before, so I can imagine.
Yeah. And the whole time, and he called me a hippie.
Did he call you a dirty hippie?
No,
did he tell you to get a job?
Yes, he actually did. He's like, why aren't you working? Why aren't you doing something productive? Why are you going to be out here?
You should have asked him the same question, because most likely what he was doing was not actually productive.
Yeah, absolutely. In fact, you know what this guy does? He hands you a sticker outside the door that said, I heart voting, except it's actually the Ohio voting sticker, which I calmly threw in the trash. Thanks for taking my call. Wish me luck at the convention next Friday.
So, real quick, what happened with that ballot measure that you wanted to vote on dealing specifically with the redistricting?
It actually passed overwhelmingly, 80-20.
So is this a good redistricting plan or a horrible one?
It's supposedly going to be bipartisan. It's going to be, it has to be agreed upon by outside sources.
Okay.
It's not just the state that's going to, redraw the maps. It has to be agreed upon by outside sources. I don't know exactly who's going to be researching it, but I think that there's nothing wrong with taking a second look at least at the way that the maps are redistricted, because I'm always kind of a skeptic with what Pennsylvania and North Carolina have been doing, looking into redistricting to combat gerrymandering. But I think it's definitely something we need to look at, because we don't want to be giving any party an advantage.
Excellent. Stefan, thank you for the call, and definitely good luck in convention, where Stefan is one of the candidates for governor seeking the Libertarian nomination, where they nominate in convention because they don't have ballot access there in Ohio. This is Free Talk Live. Your calls and thoughts welcome. 855-450-FREE.
Bacon lovers, we ship free. Try our amazing bacon. No refrigeration required. Proprietary value-added packaging provides 10 years shelf life and protects the leanest, thickest, center-cut, fully cooked bacon in America today. Ready to eat right from the pouch or warm and serve. Savory and delicious. Wholesale price for your everyday use. Order today at ReadyToEatBacon.com. ReadyToEatBacon.com.
Hunters, anglers, campers, and survivalists. Get back to nature. Expand your horizons with the highest quality, most versatile, unique slingshots and sling bows on the market at slingbow.com. Slingbow products are compact and models start from just $17.98. They're perfect for your bug out bag or storing in your vehicle. Give yourself and your loved ones the excitement and tradition of Slingbow, a new frontier in archery and truly modern twist on this primitive survival tool. Feel the thrill only at slingbow.com.
The Free State Project has reached its goal of 20,000 liberty lovers who've pledged to move to New Hampshire and get active to achieve liberty in our lifetime. Perhaps you're trying to figure out what part of New Hampshire should be your destination. If so, consider Keene. You'll find more than 150 reasons to move to Keene at move.freekeene.com. Keene is famous for its historic, publicity-generating activism, as well as being the liberty media capital of the world. It's home to freekeene.com, New Hampshire's destination for liberty activism, news, and opinion. For years, we've been compiling over 150 reasons to move to Keene at move.freekeene.com, where you'll learn about some of what's happening here and what makes Keene a great place to live. If you love liberty, you'll probably enjoy anywhere you end up in the Shire. But do your due diligence first. Please visit move.freekeene.com for the full list of over 150 reasons to move to Keene. That's move.freekeene.com.
Hi, this is Mark Edge of Free Talk Live. Michael W. Dean's book, User's Manual for the Human Experience, changed my life. In a culture that attempts to turn you into a compliant victim, this book gives you implementable steps on everything from how to be aware of your environment, walking down the street, to business, to how to handle a toxic person in your life. If you're a human, you need to read this book at least once. Go to Amazon and get the Kindle version, or paperback, or an audiobook of A User's Manual for the Human Experience.
There are lots of ways to listen to Free Talk Live. Our podcast has been around since podcasts began, and now the FTL feed is loaded with content besides our full show archives. Did you know that we make it easy for you to customize your podcast subscriptions? We have different feeds, one that includes only our full shows, one with just the Daily Digest, and one with just the Edgington Post. You decide what you listen to. It's quick and easy to customize your feeds at feeds.freetalklive.com. That's feeds.freetalklive.com.
This is Michael Dean from the Freedom Fiends. I've run websites since 1996 and have used over a dozen web hosts in that time. AgristHosting.com is the only one that hasn't broken my heart. Agrist Hosting's uptime and service is stellar, and their DDoS mitigation is the best I've seen. That's important because if you tell the truth in this world, you'll ruffle feathers. And some people will try dirty tricks to silence your voice. No matter what the haters hit us with, Agrist Hosting keeps our websites online. If you have a mission-critical commercial presence or a world-changing activism site, you cannot tolerate any skullduggery. So go with AgristHosting.com. Have a WordPress or blog site, but you're not satisfied with performance or uptime? Or just want raw hosting? Want to pay with Bitcoin? Agrist Hosting specializes in high-performance hosting with personalized service. Go to AgristHosting.com and click on the button that says Get Hosted. That's AgristHosting.com.
Join the LRN.FM Discord for live chat 24/7 at discord.lrn.fm. That's discord.lrn.fm.
This is Free Talk Live, 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. In studio, it's Daryl.
And Chris.
And Mother's Day is coming up. Don't wind up being one of those people that has to hit the panic button and get suckered into one of those online flower giants pitching $19.99 flowers that, when all said and done, winds up costing you $60. Don't be the person that goes to the local grocery store and goes into the produce department and grabs flowers that smell like green onions. You know what that says? That says to Mom that you don't care to send the best flowers, that you don't care about Mom enough to send flowers from the Bouqs. That's short for bouquets, and these flowers, they're bouquing awesome. Bouqs flowers are as unique and special as your mom, and they're freshly cut from Bouqs farms and delivered straight to Mom, so they last days, or rather, they last weeks, not days. The other ones, the cheap ones, they last days. These last weeks. Bouqs even has farms located on the side of a volcano that produce flowers so gorgeous, Mom will open up an Instagram and post pics of them on there and brag about how wonderful you are. And because Bouqs cuts out the middlemen, you get amazingly fresh flowers at an amazing price. Show Mom how much you care. Send artisan design flowers from the Bouqs. Order today and get an extra 15% off when you enter code FTL. That's Bouqs, BOUQS.com. And remember, enter code FTL, as in Free Talk Live. FTL saves an extra 15% when you go to Bouqs.com, BOUQS.com. So we spent a good bit of time talking about the new rules in California that will be forcing solar panels on everyone beginning 2020.
Yep.
All new construction. So existing houses currently not affected, but watch for that to change. And, well, it's only going to add an extra $10,000 to $20,000 to the cost of a house, but you're saving $16,000, so you're saving money.
Right.
In the long run, and saving the planet, because the science is settled that solar panels are going to save over 3 years the equivalent of 150,000 cars not driving for a year.
Yeah. And they've extrapolated the numbers out in some things. There's currently about 10.4 gigawatts of residential solar power at the end of last year, which was a six-fold increase over the previous 5. Thank you for government subsidies for making those numbers actually work for consumers, because that's what this is.
Right.
And they've talked a little bit about how many jobs have been added due to, that's the other thing. Well, if we have more solar, we're going to have more solar installers, and that's a 21st century kind of job right there. So, but it's just misguided, and a lot of.
And it's central planning. That's at the end of the day.
It is. It's central planning.
And you've got some bureaucrat somewhere, or in this case, a group of bureaucrats, saying, we know what is best for everybody, and if everybody just did what we say,
right,
then there will not be any problems.
Yeah, and
until there are problems, and then we have to rethink what we think.
we come up with a new scapegoat, or we blame it on the people that were opposing this all along. Say you didn't let us do it big enough, otherwise it would have worked. We need to throw more money at it.
Right, just throw more money at it. That solves the problem.
Yeah. But there are a number of analysts on Wall Street and in the energy sector that are just opposed to this. They're saying, you're taking advantage of particular conditions, market conditions right now that are certainly subject to change. And I don't think there's nobody on this show that's going to advocate for government telling you how to build your house, and that's what it comes down to.
Well, nobody on this show tonight.
Yes, good point. But this idea that we're going to mandate that you do this and do that, that's just wrong. You're supposed to be free. You're supposed to be able to make decisions based on what works best for you. And when the state takes that out of your hands and makes decisions for you and forces you to do things differently, then you're no longer free.
Right. And, we are talking about California, the state that has, I don't remember if they outright banned the use of plastic bags or just added some kind of 5-cent tax for plastic bags. There's talk about prohibiting plastic straws from being given out without the express permission of the customer.
They tax the heck out of water bottles. That was a few years back. California usually is at the forefront of this, and
California can't secede fast enough.
I so support this. I so support the idea of California being allowed to secede, because it really would offer a real world stand on your own example of whether these socialist policies will actually work. And I'd love to see it. And no offense to my friends in California, but I'd love to see the whole thing fail and crumble, because I believe that's what would happen. And if you use basic economics, Austrian economics, classical economics, that's what happens to these types of systems. They crumble under their own weight.
Right. Exhibit, I forget which letter we're on now, Venezuela.
Right. But you can look at Argentina, which is, that's the one I've been following longer than Venezuela's really been exploding. But, for all the reserves, quote unquote, that they built up, they basically inflated their money supply.
Right.
And it took, 4 or 5 years for that to catch up. But now they're devastated. These are things that happen. And, there is no group of experts that can tell you what is the best situation. You are the best person to judge what is best for you.
Right.
And
don't expect me and Chris to have answers for how you should live your life.
Or expect your legislators or expect government bureaucrats, because that's what this comes down to.
Right, but the reason I mentioned you and I specifically is because a lot of times when we advocate for maximum human freedom, somebody will call in and say, but what about this very obscure scenario? How do I solve X?
Right.
Well, one, X isn't being solved currently
with the state.
Two, we don't believe in central planning, so we're not going to tell you how to solve that problem.
Yeah.
And three, in a free market, here are several ways that problem could be solved, but I don't know which one would actually wind up solving the problem.
Right.
It could be something completely different.
And when you come up with that great idea of how to solve that problem, tell me, because I'm interested.
Right.
It's the idea that, libertarians...
you need an answer for every obscure thought that I can think of. Otherwise, I will reject libertarianism. But I'll accept the state because, well, it's what we currently have.
Right. Libertarianism, or the idea that people should control their own lives and make their own decisions, it can be messy. It doesn't really come with a clear-cut instruction book like the state does.
But even with the state's clear-cut book,
oh, I know,
it's still messy.
Yeah.
And let's talk about one of those messy problems. I teased
good.
it.
I like that.
Canadian woman. She's looking for an apology from Georgia police, who arrested, handcuffed, and charged her because she had a Canadian driver's license. Story comes from the CBC. Emily Nield said, "It was the most horrendous incident of my life. It was mortifying. I was terrified the entire time." About a month ago, the 27-year-old was driving through Georgia to Tennessee, where she had just completed her master's degree in geology. Her route took her along Interstate 75, which is often used by Canadians making a trip from Florida or Georgia back north. That's where she was pulled over for speeding, and the officer asked to see her license. She handed over her Ontario driver's license, but she was not prepared for the officer's reaction. She says, the officer kept saying, "No, Canadian driver's licenses aren't accepted here." Adding, "I was flabbergasted. I just kept saying, this can't be right. A Canadian driver's license is valid." She told the CBC that she was then asked to prove that she was a Canadian. And although she had copies of her passport, her Nexus card, and her birth certificate, the officer wanted to see original hard copies.
Right.
What happened when she wasn't able to produce these original hard copies at the snap of some fingers of a cop? We'll tell you. Oh, stay tuned. Plus, your calls and thoughts welcome. 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. This is Free Talk Live. Mother's Day sneaks up and we hit the panic button. We get suckered into online flower giants pitching $19.99 flowers that end up costing $60. Or we grab last-minute produce department flowers that smell oddly like green onions. That tells mom you don't care enough to send flowers from the Bouqs. That's short for bouquet, and they're bouquing awesome. Bouqs flowers are as unique and special as your mom. They're freshly cut from Bouqs farms and delivered straight to your mom, so they last weeks, not days. Bouqs even has farms located on the side of a volcano that produce flowers so gorgeous mom will post pics of them and brag about you. And because Bouqs cuts out the middleman, you'll get amazingly fresh flowers at an amazing price. Show mom how much you care. Send her artisan design flowers from the Bouqs. Order today and get an extra 15% off when you enter code FTL. That's BOUQS.com. And remember to enter FTL to save an extra 15%. That's Bouqs.com, BOUQS.com. And remember, code FTL saves an extra 15%.
Looking for that edge during those intimate moments? We see many ads for enhancement, but the side effects include death. At GCN Team, we should change the Healthy Body, Brain, and Heart Pack to the Healthy Libido Pack. The brain and heart are not the only organs that require a healthy vascular system. For proper blood flow at the right moment, go to GCNteam.com or call 877-878-4203. That's 877-878-4203. That's 877-878-4203.
This is Dan Pilla. Do you owe the IRS money you can't pay? Are tax debts crippling you? I've defended people from the IRS for over 30 years. I've helped thousands, and I can help you too. I wrote the book on IRS settlement, and I'm telling you, there's no such thing as a hopeless case. Call 800-34-NO-TAX to finally get free of IRS debt. With the IRS's new programs, there's never been a better time to solve your problem. Call 800-34-NO-TAX. That's 800-34-NO-TAX, or my website, danpilla.com.
Is spreading the message of liberty, cryptocurrency, and peace around the globe worth $2 per month to you? As you may already know, in addition to our internet feed, LRN.FM broadcasts on free-to-air satellite across North and Central America, as well as Sub-Saharan Africa. And we've been available on satellite for free 24/7 since 2010. The LRN.FM free-to-air satellite signal is reaching some of the most oppressive regimes in the world, and there's no doubt our ideas are making an impact. You can learn more about the channel's impact by watching the 3-minute video at fund.lrn.fm. If you'd like to help free minds globally with our ideas of liberty, cryptocurrency, and peace, you can donate as little as $2 per month via fund.lrn.fm. You can help us continue and expand our satellite broadcast to multiple continents. Visit fund.lrn.fm today, and thank you for your help. Don't forget to share the link on social media. That's fund.lrn.fm. LRN.FM now has a Discord. Discord is a free text and voice chat platform, and we now have our own server with a bunch of channels at discord.lrn.fm. You can join other listeners as they chat about various things during our live shows, or anytime, day or night. Discord software is available cross-platform, so you can have it on whatever device you want and take your chats anywhere. Join our Discord at discord.lrn.fm. That's discord.lrn.fm.
Did you know that Free Aid is a mutual aid, educational, and networking organization? At Free Aid, we support volunteers who provide first aid. We do outreach to the public about health and safety, and we bring together medically skilled freedom lovers. Free Aid is made possible by your generous support. Donors can receive great gifts like first aid kits, t-shirts, silver dime cards, and hoodies. The Free Aid Silver Dime Card Project is sponsored in part by Roberts & Roberts Brokerage, Freedom's Phoenix, and Don't Tread on Meme. Visit fr33aid.com.
You're listening to the best liberty-oriented audio streamed around the clock, on the air, and online. This is the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
This is Free Talk Live, 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. In studio, it's Daryl.
And Chris. Freedom's Phoenix is a liberty-oriented news aggregation site. Do you want the newest, freshest stories and perspective on current events from those who value liberty? freedomsphoenix.com has it. Their daily dispatch is the best way to stay up to date on science, technology, historical findings, liberty news, government overspending, and the rise of the police state. Freedom's with an S, freedomsphoenix.com. That's freedomsphoenix.com.
So we've actually been talking about one of these police state stories. A woman in Georgia arrested for being Canadian. Again, story here comes from the CBC. Emily Nild, all she wants is an apology for being wrongfully arrested.
Right.
She was driving up Interstate 75, got pulled over for speeding, and she showed her driver's license to the police officer, and the cop said, "I need to see your passport." She said that she had on her phone copies of the passport, the Nexus card, and her birth certificate, but the officer wanted to see original hard copies. She says, "When I failed to produce it, she reached through my window and put handcuffs on me. She told me that I had just been arrested for driving without a license and that I needed to go to jail." In the back of the officer's cruiser, and she was handcuffed with her hands in front of her.
Right.
So she was able to grab her cell phone and send out a video on Snapchat which unfortunately there's one curse word in there. Otherwise, we would play it for you on the air. But in the video, she breaks down and she says, "I'm in cuffs. Help me. I don't want to go to jail." At the police station, she was charged with driving without a license and speeding. She was clocked going 87 miles per hour in a 70-mile-per-hour zone. Police took her mugshot and took her fingerprints. She says they kept saying, "You're now in the system. Any crime that's going to be committed, your fingerprints are going to be searched." She said, "I never committed a crime." Well,
no.
Technically, driving 87 in a 70 is a criminal violation.
Right, but she has not yet been found guilty. She has not
Correct.
had her day in court should she choose to take advantage of that.
Right.
No, innocent until proven guilty. I'm sorry, people. That's how it works.
Right.
Whether we're talking about a girl who's speeding in Georgia with a Canadian license or this guy who they suspect is the Golden State Killer.
Right.
Innocent before proven guilty.
Right. Technically innocent until proven guilty. I'm just pointing out that speeding, technically, under the law, is a crime.
I don't disagree.
She has not been convicted of the crime, but whether or not one commits is not necessarily indicative of one being convicted.
Correct.
One of her friends was able to determine her location as being Adel, Georgia, through a feature on Snapchat that showed that she was in Cook County. She said she was permitted to speak to her friend, but her request to speak to the Canadian consulate or her parents was unanswered by police. It just says unanswered. I'm guessing the police did not answer on allowing her to make those calls. She said police told her that she would remain in jail until her court appearance on June 12th, unless she was able to pay $880 in cash for bond, cash that she didn't have. The Cook County Sheriff's Office denies that. In a statement issued late Monday, they said, "That's not correct. Georgia law states that any individual who's arrested on a non-warrant is entitled to a first appearance hearing to be advised of their rights and bond within 48 hours of arrest." Right. CBC adds that Interstate 75 brings in nearly 1 million travelers through that county every month. The statement continues that law enforcement regularly come across cases of identity theft and other related crimes. Captain Brent Exum said in a statement, "This is why we follow Georgia Department of Driver Services guidelines and request a passport or a visa to verify identities."
I just did no. This is one of those lines that some people in positions of power will use to justify their bad actions. Yeah, but you'd be amazed at how many identity thieves we catch out here just traveling the road. They're just driving around, identity thieves left and right. I'd love to know the actual number of identity thieves that they have actually stopped and caught.
Now, one thing that this article doesn't mention, and I only happen to know about because, well, I'm originally from Alabama, and Alabama passed a law several years ago that they say was basically a copy of the Georgia law.
Okay.
That whenever anyone, quote unquote, does business with the state, and that's defined as either you need to go renew your driver's license, renew your vehicle registration, you get a ticket, etc., you are required to prove your citizenship.
Right.
And, well, she didn't have those physical copies to be able to prove her Canadian citizenship. So that, I think, is where his statement about the passport is coming from. Not that every person that they wind up pulling over, they say, "Oh, we need passports." The article continues, eventually Nild was allowed to use her debit card and post bail. She said she also had to pay $200 to remove her car from impound. She stayed in the States while trying to get the charges dismissed and the arrest expunged with the help of a friend's father, who is a lawyer in Virginia, and also help from the Canadian consulate. Nild told CBC, "I just kept thinking this would ruin me. Every job application, you have to check a box. Are you a criminal? Have you ever been convicted of or arrested for anything?" And technically, she was arrested. There's more to this, but first to the Skype. where we've got Mortified Penguin calling in. Mortified Penguin, you're on Free Talk Live. Go ahead with your thoughts.
Hello, Mr. Wombat Perry, Mr. Organism, Mortified Penguin from the Commonwealth. I wanted to call in. See, it's just a two-host show tonight, so I changed my topic to something you were talking about, mentioned earlier, that wasn't solar panels. Freedom of speech.
Nice.
And
go ahead.
Yeah, and you have. It gets brought up a lot. It's an important part of the discussion of liberty. It's an important part of liberty, and I just kind of want to play devil's advocate, or just kind of raise up the other perspective that. I know the so-called leftists are really getting hyperbolic, getting very extreme about their protest of hate speech and supposed censorship. But on the other hand, it's kind of dismaying to see the cause of free speech to be taken up by the extreme far right and the racist fringe. And I mean, yes, that I understand that outrageous speech must be protected, but it's kind of sad to see that's almost becoming a code word. It's coming up such a divisive issue when it's pretty clear what the liberty perspective is.
A lot of times, and this is obviously going to be skewed to what I see, but a lot of times it does seem as though the quote-unquote supporters of free speech only want to be free to say racist things, but when somebody says you're being a racist, they want to shut those people down. So they don't actually believe in free speech for everybody. They just believe in free speech for themselves and people that agree with them.
Yeah, Mortified Penguin, I would say that I don't disagree with you, that I too find it kind of troubling. But that doesn't mean that it's not right. That's the whole thing. And that's sort of my whole liberty can be messy message, is that even when we're confronted by situations where we're surprised that the people defending liberty are on the opposite side of liberty on most other issues.
They're not actually defending liberty.
I understand.
They're defending their right to be a-holes.
That's okay. They're making
under
a point.
the guise of liberty.
For whatever reason, they are making an argument in favor of liberty.
For themselves only. They don't want liberty for people that say that
of course not,
they're
Daryl.
being idiots.
And lots of people are going to be like that. But I will take those arguments because it gives me an opportunity to say, look, here's the situation. Even if you don't like this person, even if you don't respect them, or you know that they have an ulterior motive, what they're saying is still important.
Yeah, I guess you'll mostly find allies on. I guess you'll mostly find allies. I mean, if you look at it numerically, you'll mostly find allies on single issues or certain limited number of issues. I guess very few people are for. I get what you're saying. Very few people are going to be allies with all facets of liberty. So you're trying to always find a common ground, and this is I see what you're saying. But like I said, it is dismaying, to see that that's almost becoming a code word, because then people will hit you when you start talking about free speech. People will possibly hit you with that kind of thing, and of course, it's always been the maxim, the outrageous speech. But the speech must be the one that's defended.
It's one of those things, and Mortified Penguin, thank you for the call. It's one of those things going back like a decade when libertarians wound up aligning with the Tea Party people to where people, libertarians just hate Barack Obama, and that's the only thing that...
Because he's black.
There are so many other things that libertarians support. This is Free Talk Live, 855-450-FREE. Your calls and thoughts welcome.
It's about time something new came along for better selling and buying online. And I found it.
What now, Marge?
It's buysellmakeoffer.com.
Never heard of it.
It's a brand new company. That's why you've never heard of it. It's the newest and best way to sell any products online. I did all the research.
Sell my car?
Yes.
Our home?
Yep.
My golf bag?
Your golf clubs. All of them.
How about your purse collection hoard?
Hey, now.
You said any product.
Right. I did. We get 30 days free.
Really?
Packages starting from only $9.95. And buysellmakeoffer.com will never charge item fees ever. Never. And this is cool. Listen to this. You can even use Skype or video to show your items.
That's cool.
Yes. All we have to do is go to the website, sign up, and then load our stuff to sell. I love this site.
Buysellmakeoffer.com.
Buysellmakeoffer.com. You got it?
Buysellmakeoffer.com.
Buysellmakeoffer.com. Better selling, better buying.
Radio is the most personal of mediums. I exist right now in your head. If you listen to Free Talk Live regularly, you know me. Free Talk Live is on more than 160 radio stations around the U.S. and has been downloaded on every continent around the world. Hundreds of thousands of listeners with ad packages from $600 a month to $6,000 a month. Imagine what we can do for your business, project, website, or idea. Email me, mark@freetalklive.com. The three most important things you can do for Free Talk Live are: 1, share one episode a week on Facebook or in some other social networking site. 2, buy the things you buy online through shop.freetalklive.com. 3, give $5 a month to the AMP program. It's my firm belief that Free Talk Live's AMP program is the best use of your charitable dollar among liberty-oriented organizations. Support all the organizations you love, but make sure you give $5 a month to AMP at amp.freetalklive.com.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 3 is next after the news here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
From Keene, the Shire, the Liberty Media capital of the world, this is Daryl W. Perry, host of FPP Radio News for Thursday, May 10th, 2018. Silver is trading at $16.68 per ounce. Gold is valued at $1,319 per ounce. Zencash is trading at $36, and the average price of Bitcoin is $9,337. Antiwar.com reports the Pentagon is seeking private contractors to provide medical evacuation services to U.S. ground troops operating inside Yemen. This solicitation began at the end of April and seeks 4 fixed-wing and rotary-wing aircraft capable of providing services and having ballistic protection systems. This comes amid recent revelations that the U.S. has Green Berets operating along the Yemen-Saudi Arabia border, despite the Pentagon long maintaining their role in Yemen did not involve combat troops. In addition to these troops, the Pentagon is known to have special forces operating in Yemen against al-Qaeda. U.S. Transportation Command wants this to cover not only Yemen, but nearby countries in the Horn of Africa. In practice, this likely just means Somalia, where a number of U.S. troops are present. The reliance on contractors for these services are controversial. The Pentagon has long handled time-sensitive things like evacuation of casualties. As U.S. forces spread across more and more countries in smaller numbers, however, the Pentagon is finding itself short of capacity and is looking to make this up with contractors. For over 40 years, Roberts & Roberts Brokerage has been a trusted source for buying and selling precious metals like gold and silver. And as a Bitcoin-preferred business, Roberts & Roberts Brokerage has removed the minimum purchase amount for all orders paid in the digital currency. Call Roberts & Roberts Brokerage today for knowledgeable advice on buying and selling precious metals and a forward-thinking approach to new technologies. 800-874-9760 or visit online at rrbi.co. UPI reports after a vote by the state's Energy Commission on Wednesday, California became the first state to require all new homes to be built with solar panels. The California Energy Commission voted unanimously 5-0 to add the requirement to the state's building code. It goes into effect January 1st, 2020 and includes all condominiums and apartment buildings up to 3 stories high. Some buildings will be eligible for exemptions from the requirement, including those shaded by trees or with roofs too small to accommodate a solar photovoltaic system. The CEC estimates the move will reduce greenhouse gas emissions by 700,000 metric tons over the course of 3 years. Commissioner Andrew McAllister said the case for this was extremely strong. In California, we do believe in climate change, we do believe in facts. It's become clear to us that it's the right thing to do and the marketplace is ready. Currently, about 15,000 new homes built in California each year have solar panel installations. The new rule is expected to increase that number to 80,000. Born into a devastating world and raised among the crowd, the Cloudwalker assumes a new identity and begins the unrelenting quest for truth. In this epic journey, he discovers dark secrets about aspects of his previous life that he once trusted. Through the Journal of the Cloudwalker, he shares both the traumatic hardships and the eternal beauties of his experiences. Fueled in the beginning by his unsettling thoughts and emotions, he learns how to find peace with everything he has woken up to. Dear Society by the Cloudwalker is available from Amazon.com and all major bookstores. Reuters reports the National Transportation Safety Board said on Wednesday it will investigate a Tesla accident in Fort Lauderdale, Florida this week that killed 2 teenagers and injured another, the agency's 4th active probe into crashes of the company's electric vehicles. The NTSB said it was sending a team of 4 to investigate Tuesday's crash of a 2014 Tesla Model S that was reportedly traveling at high speed when it struck a wall and caught fire. The agency said it does not believe the Tesla semi-autonomous autopilot system will be part of the investigation. The NTSB said said this investigation is primarily focused on emergency response in relation to the electric vehicle battery fire, including fire department activities and towing operations. A preliminary investigation showed the Tesla drove off the road and hit a concrete wall, immediately catching fire, according to the Fort Lauderdale Police Department in a statement. Police said the speed of the vehicle is believed to have been a factor in the crash. The new investigation adds to an already contentious relationship between Tesla and the NTSB. Last month, Tesla launched out at the NTSB after it took the unusual step of removing the automaker from the investigation of a fatal crash in March in which a Tesla vehicle's driver assistance autopilot system was in use. The NTSB defended the decision, saying Tesla released investigative information prematurely and in violation of procedure. Tesla, in return, blasted the NTSB, saying the board was more concerned with press headlines than actually promoting safety. It accused the agency of violating its own rules while trying to prevent Tesla from disclosing all of the facts. This has been FPP Radio News, online at fppradio.com.
Publicists everywhere agreed this week that the nation's celebrities are in dire need of more fame, stressing that all 6 billion of the world's populace should know every U.S. celebrity by name and face by now. Publicists are calling for an emergency influx of buzz, heat, press, and word of mouth to be administered to the nation's celebrities immediately in order to prevent crucial fame levels from becoming dangerously low. Novelist Edward Milligan told reporters this week that in his new book, By the Water's Edge, he has fleshed out in meticulous detail his own huge and stunningly shitty world. Using in-depth research and the power of his own imagination, Milligan was able to conjure out of thin air every hackneyed character, trite street name, and horseshit backstory in the fictional town of Connors Cove. The complete hack proudly said he has created a universe that readers will feel they can actually reach out and touch. Sources say the prolific writer has not yet been punched repeatedly in the face. In other news, McDonald's opens a new senior citizen play place.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live.
This is Free Talk Live. Kicking off our number 3 in studio tonight, it's Daryl.
And Chris.
And you can join us by calling toll-free 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. We're talking about this Canadian woman, Emily Neild, 27-year-old graduate student who was arrested in Georgia for the dastardly crime of being Canadian and having a Canadian driver's license. You might think that I'm making that up, but no, she was pulled over for doing 87 in a 70-mile-per-hour zone, and when she presented her driver's license from Ontario province and was then unable to, at the request of the officer, produce original hard copies of her passport, Nexus card, and birth certificate, she was arrested. Story goes on to say that she was eventually released after being allowed to use her debit card to pay the $880 in bond. The county, someone from the county, I don't remember exactly who, said, no, that didn't happen. Our law says that she's entitled to go before a court and get bond within 48 hours. We never said she was going to stay in jail until June 12th. Well, her bank account says something different.
Right.
So somebody here is lying, and it seems to be that it's the cops who also were not following their own regulations. Again, the captain of the police department says that there are nearly 1 million travelers on Interstate 75 in this one particular county in Georgia every month, saying that they see a lot of cases of identity theft and other related crimes. This is why we follow Georgia Department of Driver Services guidelines and request a passport or visa to verify identities.
I call BS, but that's okay.
The CBC did a little bit of investigating, and according to the Georgia Department of Driver Services website, quote, non-U.S. citizens holding a valid foreign driver's license are allowed to drive in the state of Georgia. The website goes on to explain, quote, in the case of a driver's license issued by the driver's licensing authority of a foreign country, a law officer may consult a person's passport or visa to verify the validity of such a license if available, meaning if the documents, the passport and the visa, are available.
But again,
it doesn't say must, it said may.
Right. And I'm sorry, we have a college girl, right, driving back from where she goes to school. This is pretty much it.
She was actually driving to where she went to school in Tennessee. She was passing through Georgia
on her
going
way back
to
okay.
Tennessee.
My apologies. But the point is where's your probable cause? What made you so suspicious of this dastardly college girl
we
driving?
pulled her over
because
for
she was speeding.
And then we've got laws that say that you've got to prove your identity, and it says we may consult, so therefore that means that you must present these documents.
You've got an overzealous cop.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Now, luckily, the charges were dismissed. Story here continues. 3 days after her arrest, Matthew Bennett, the Cook County Probate Court solicitor, agreed that the charges should be dismissed, and the judge signed off on it. Bennett said, quote, "I just felt it probably became a bigger deal than it should have been, considering that she was here studying with no prior trouble." He said the court is consulting with Nild's attorney on taking measures to erase the arrest record. So they're working on either expunging or annulling, depending on whichever legal term applies there in Georgia. And as of last week, and this article was from earlier this week, they say that the attorney's office was estimating it could take, quote, another couple weeks or so to do so. In the statement issued earlier in the week, Bennett said, "The confusion arose because Miss Nild said she lived in Tennessee." Yes, she lives in Tennessee because that's where she's going to college.
Right. Or did she just state that because she's been going to school there for a while? You know what I mean?
No, generally.
Yeah.
And I've been pulled over enough times and dealt with police enough to where I know they ask, where are you going?
Right.
Where you live? Is this the address where you live?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, well, I'm currently living in Tennessee. She probably said, I'm going to school in Tennessee.
Last time I got asked where you headed tonight, my statement was, no disrespect intended here, but that's none of your business.
Yeah.
And, yeah.
Right. And
but
I know
again,
that there are some people that will say you should only ever respond with, I don't answer your questions. That may or may not cause the police to escalate the situation,
right?
If you will. If you don't want to answer questions, you could always respond with, I will not answer questions without a lawyer present.
Right. And the problem is that unfortunately, so many people in law enforcement will take that as you're trying to be difficult.
Oh, you're trying to hide something. You got something to hide here.
Right.
No.
Sometimes I enjoy.
I just don't see how this question is relevant to the reason you pulled me over, and I will not answer any questions that are part of an investigation.
Well, more to my
without a lawyer present.
What my motivation is when I'm given these opportunities to exercise, to flex my rights a little bit, whether it's open carrying a pistol or participating in a rally or telling a cop he has no right to ask me that. I try to do it. I don't do it every time, but those opportunities are, I think, educational for the officer too.
Well, and those sorts of questions, the where you going, where you coming from, where do you live?
Right.
Do you know what those questions are for? It's part of a fishing expedition to where they're trying to get you to either contradict yourself or admit that you were doing something else illegal.
Right. And
where are you coming from? Oh, I just got done buying some crack.
And guess what? Contradicting your answer or changing your answer. Well, he lied to us.
Right.
That's what
lying
that comes
to.
Lie to an officer
is another charge.
Right.
Continuing on here, the probate guy, Matthew Bennett, says that non-permanent residents in the United States are allowed to obtain Tennessee driver's licenses if they're living there. So, well, if you're currently in Tennessee going to school, why don't you just get a Tennessee driver's license? Well, because I'm a Canadian citizen. I'm a Canadian resident. It doesn't matter. You should just jump through all the hoops and the hurdles.
Exactly.
And that's one of the things, and not to really divert this to a New Hampshire specific thing, but there's legislation that is going to wind up possibly causing snowbirds to have to every 6 months change all of their documentation.
Yeah.
Oh, if you're here, and then they've removed the for an indefinite period for who is a resident of the state. You're here, therefore you're a resident.
Right.
Well, they've left in this part that says if you claim residency elsewhere.
Yeah.
So it's just going to wind up causing more confusion. It's not going to solve anything.
Right. And none of this is, none of it's going to solve any real problems that exist. What this is
might prevent a few college students from voting.
Yeah. Yeah. But it is this idea. This is the result of nationalism. This is, when everybody from another country is not like us, therefore they must be evil.
Right.
Because, if some people from Mexico do crimes, then all people from Mexico are now suspect.
Florida Man commits all kinds of horrible stuff, but we don't ban Florida Man.
No, but I love following Florida Man on Reddit. That is like the greatest subreddit there is.
The
go ahead.
Probate guy has some advice for Canadian drivers. Quote, make sure you have your passport and other supporting documents along with your driver's license at all times. I know I would. He says, I know I would if I was in a foreign country.
Yeah, what a crock. What a total crock. And that's where we've gotten to. This has become a papers, please society that we are going to be expected, whether you're Canadian, any other country, or a U.S. citizen, you better be able to prove your identity beyond the shadow of a doubt for anything.
And there's a little bit more to this, plus some ridiculousness out of Canada dealing with the cartel surrounding maple syrup. This is Free Talk Live.
Mother's Day sneaks up and we hit the panic button. We get suckered into online flower giants pitching $19.99 flowers that end up costing $60. Or we grab last-minute produce department flowers that smell oddly like green onions. That tells Mom you didn't care enough to send flowers from the Bouqs. That's short for bouquets. And they're bouquing awesome. Bouqs flowers are as unique and special as your mom. They're freshly cut from Bouqs farms and delivered straight to your mom. So they last weeks, not days. Bouqs even has farms located on the side of a volcano that produce flowers so gorgeous, Mom will post pics of them and brag about you. And because Bouqs cut out the middlemen, you'll get amazingly fresh flowers at an amazing price. Show Mom how much you care. Send her artisan design flowers from the Bouqs. Order today and get an extra 15% off when you enter FTL. That's BOUQS.com. And remember to enter FTL to save an extra 15%. Bouqs.com.
The Bitcoin.com wallet is a simple and powerful, full-featured wallet that allows you to send and receive Bitcoin Cash and Bitcoin Core with anyone, anywhere in the world. It supports both single and multi-signature wallets and is available in multiple languages. The Bitcoin.com wallet is available on Windows, Linux, Mac, Android, and iOS devices. Learn more at wallet.bitcoin.com.
Zencash is an end-to-end encrypted system with zero-knowledge technology over which communications, data, or value can be securely transmitted and stored. With over 7,500 secure nodes, Zencash has one of the most distributed node systems of any cryptocurrency. Zencash is a platform for cryptocurrency and communications built by voluntarists for voluntarists, with the ideas of voluntary interaction being written into the white paper no less than half a dozen times. Learn more at Zencash.com. That's Zencash.com.
Yesterday, two groups of men shot at each other near to Bagram Base, where I am. Today, the soldiers are happy about some of the men dying and sad about other men dying. Sergeant First Class Aaron Tomlin is only sad about 4 of the dead people.
It's a long, tough day here. We lost 4 good men.
No, 27 men died. 4 American soldiers and 23 Taliban soldiers. You said that 4 soldiers die and it makes you sad. But you said when Taliban soldiers die, it does not make you sad. I asked Base Commander David Hawkins to make it make sense.
The last thing we resort to is hurting anyone. But you have to understand, it's our job to keep the American people safe from our enemies. And sometimes that includes...
So if you kill your enemies at your job, it is not sad.
Well...
What if I killed my enemy Ryan at my job? It would not be sad?
No, you shouldn't do that.
But he is rude to me. He steals my yogurts. He makes fun of the way I talk.
Look, only soldiers can kill without getting in trouble.
Okay. Are you going to kill Ryan?
No.
It does not make sense.
This is the Onion News Network.
Did you know you can watch Free Talk Live during our live show 7 days a week from 7 to 10 p.m. Eastern via our studio cams at cam.freetalklive.com? Plus, you can chat with other listeners while you watch, all totally free. Now that our live video stream is hosted by YouTube, our video archives will be online even faster, so be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Listen, watch, and chat all free at cam.freetalklive.com. That's cam.freetalklive.com.
This Your Family Today tip is brought to you by Ovaltine. Give your kids the nutrition they need to be their best. Visit us at ovaltineusa.com. Telling your child about healthy food choices is important, but showing her what to eat goes a lot further. Have her help create the grocery list, then bring her to the store with you. Picking out healthy foods together helps kids get in the habit of thinking about what they're eating every day. For more tips like these, visit us at parenthood.com/yourfamilytoday.
Do you love Twitter? Make sure you favorite the LRN.FM Twitter account so you can receive our tweets at twitter.lrn.fm. That's twitter.lrn.fm.
This is Free Talk Live, 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. We'll get back into this story from the CBC about the young Canadian woman that was arrested for being Canadian and having Canadian driver's license while driving through the state of Georgia. Again, more on that. But first, I want to make sure that I tell you about Liberty.menu. Liberty.menu is a directory of liberty-minded businesses. It's something that libertarians have been asking for at least a decade that I'm aware of. And Liberty.menu is a tool for our community. At its core is a directory for events, businesses, digital content, and more. Rating or listings can be rated and reviewed, kind of like a Yelp, but unlike Yelp, you can actually connect and share with other users. And also, unlike Yelp, use of Liberty.menu is exclusively for individuals who reject the initiation of force and for those who agree to abide by the ethics of the non-aggression principle. Put your voluntarist ideas into action at Liberty.menu and use code FTL to get a special Free Talk Live listener badge. That's Liberty.menu. Code FTL gets you that special listener badge. In studio tonight, it's Daryl.
And Chris.
And your calls welcome 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. Again, story from the CBC about a Canadian woman, Emily Nild, who was arrested, and she says, "It was mortifying. I was terrified the entire time." Arrested because she had a Canadian driver's license issued from the province of Ontario and did not have original hard copies of her passport, Nexus card, and birth certificate on her at the time. And the probate, some guy from the probate office there in Cook County, Georgia, said, well, everybody that's foreign in the country should just carry all of their documents with them at all the time, because that's what I would do if I was in a foreign country. Nild said she had copies of those documents on her phone, but believed it. She says she doesn't think it would have made a difference if she actually had the originals, because the officer believed a Canadian driver's license was invalid.
Right.
Nild added, if you're a police officer, you should know your laws, especially on I-75 when people travel north. She says there are so many snowbirds and Canadians that drive to Florida all the time for vacation. After finding out that her arrest would be cleared from the system, she said she cried with joy, and she just recently flew back to Canada. Right now, she is at home with her parents in Kleinburg, Ontario, but said that she will still have to make another trip back to the U.S. to pick up her car. She also said that she is excited to receive her bail money as a refund, which has been put in the mail. In the meantime, she wants the Cook County Sheriff's Office in Georgia to be held accountable so that stuff like this doesn't happen again. She said at least with the officer who arrested me, I would love to see a formal reprimand. That way she can learn that this is not right. And an apology, which is what I would love the most. Now, Chris, you've dealt with bureaucrats enough in your life. Do you think that Emily Neild will ever get an apology from the officer that arrested her?
Probably not without a civil suit. They're spending lots of money, and it's just not going to happen. I mean, the whole thing's insanity. I did enjoy one thing that the judge had said. Is that in your article?
There is a final statement from the judge where when the sheriff's office was asked for a statement, they gave the judge's statement in response, where Judge Chase Daughtry, or Doherty, I'm not sure how that's pronounced because every time I see it, somebody pronounces it a different way,
right?
Said Miss Neild was afforded the same rights as an American citizen, and she had the opportunity to have the facts of her case heard in a court of law. In this case, the justice system worked, and for that, everyone should be thankful.
So they omitted part of what he said. Or she, I'm not sure what the gender is of this particular judge, but it started out
generally as a male name.
It could be, but the quote actually started out by saying the 5th and 14th Amendments to the United States Constitution affords due process to non-citizens just as it does to our own citizens, and I think that's an important point, and it's been debated, certainly overseas. The courts have concluded that the Constitution does not follow the flag. In other words, when we go and invade another country, we're not going to respect our own Constitution. But it's generally been upheld that people that do come here are afforded those same rights. And I
but
think
there are people that make the argument that the U.S. Constitution only applies to U.S. citizens.
Right.
And some people have argued it only applies to U.S. citizens over the age of 18.
Right.
That's one of the things that I was taught in 8th grade American history.
Do you still believe that?
I don't believe it. I'm just telling you it's what the teacher told me.
Sure.
That constitutional rights only apply to people that are old enough to vote.
Yeah. But that's been challenged a number of times. And you know, honestly, if you do believe in a system of constitutional protection for individual rights, which is basically what we have in the Bill of Rights, you know, to me, that should always follow the flag. It should apply everywhere we go, and it should apply to anyone who visits us. We should be standing up and saying, look, we respect these things. At least some of our founding fathers might have said this.
Right.
I can't imagine a politician today doing that, but saying that we respect these ideals so much that we'll extend them to anyone who visits us.
Let's go to the phones. We've got Catherine calling in from somewhere on the road in Arizona. Catherine, you're on Free Talk Live. Go ahead with your thoughts.
Hey, it's interesting. You know, so many things are happening around this issue, but I was just listening to either Rush Limbaugh or somebody else that sounds a lot like him on that radio station. And he had a guy call in from California that's an immigration person that does the interview before they become a citizen.
Mm-hmm.
And some of the questions they ask are like, have you ever voted in America? And so many of them have, just because they got a driver's license. And they're honest and they say they did. And they're not legal immigrants, or they don't know if they have a criminal background. They don't know anything about them. And then they go on to ask questions like, would you fight for America? Would you bear arms for America? And many of them really hem-haw about it or don't really want to or say if they had to. And
Right.
It's sort of like and this guy is just one of tens of thousands of these guys, and he's seeing a half dozen of these a month.
All right,
So,
so hold on.
yeah.
I've got a question about the question of would you take up arms. I personally am a conscientious objector. Should I have my citizenship revoked?
Many would say yes, Daryl.
No, but, you know, I mean, they aren't even legal yet. And you know what I mean? It's like, wow. I don't
So
know.
somebody
It's
that's a
like, what's
conscientious
going
objector should not be allowed to move here from another country?
Well, I think what's more important is the fact that they weren't yet citizens and they
Right.
voted, and in large numbers. And how is that impacting things? You know?
Let's keep you. I'm not sure if there's more that you've got on that, but we'll hold you over.
Right.
This is Free Talk Live. Your calls and thoughts welcome. 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. This is Free Talk Live.
Want revenge on the common housefly? Well, after 10,000 years, someone has finally come up with a better way. The Bug Assault, a miniaturized shotgun, which utilizes ordinary table salt as ammunition. Non-toxic and no batteries required. So much fun, you'll forget you have a wife and kids. $39.95 and free economy shipping. Use discount code GCN and get an extra 10% off your purchase at bugassault.com. Fire your fly swatter. Get your Bug Assault today.
Cancer categorizes over 100 diseases. Though we do not diagnose, treat, or cure cancer, GCN team is offering the Clemson University study where there was up to a 95% reduction in cancerous cells when exposed to a plant-derived mineral supplement. If you or a loved one are searching for answers to this horrifying disease, come to GCNteam.com or call 877-878-4203. We'll email you a copy for free. That's 877-878-4203.
Since time began, tyrants have taken aim at personal liberties. Now there's a movie that aims back.
The government has no more right to tell us what to put in our bodies than they have to take our guns or tell us what books we can read.
6 drug police were eaten by bears while raiding a marijuana farm.
On your knees, you dirty hippie! Jesus. On your knees! What's the problem, officer?
Today, many cops who enforce pot laws do so only because it provides them with cushy jobs, good benefits, and a chance to push people around.
I was an undercover narcotics officer. The drug war is nothing but a farce.
The Second Amendment says you gotta keep you and your gat intact.
Guns and Weed, The Road to Freedom. A film by Michael W. Dean and Nima Vadadi.
DVD available now at gunsandweed.com or on Amazon. That's gunsandweed.com. Makes the perfect gift. Remember, that's gunsandweed.com.
What do you shop for that you could otherwise buy at Amazon? Pretty much everything, right? Amazon has competitive pricing and they deliver, and that's a big plus. If you could plan ahead in your shopping, would you be interested in saving up to 33%? There's a catch. You have to do your shopping in Bitcoin. But imagine those savings. It's like a huge raise. All you have to do is go to saveatpurse.com. We've saved thousands, and you can too. Plan ahead and save. Saveatpurse.com. Did you know we've taken our LRN.FM telephone listen line to a new level with the LRN.FM audio on demand line? Now you can call 712-770-8447 anytime and listen to LRN.FM's live feed. And you can listen to a bunch of our original shows on demand. Long distance fees may apply. Just dial 712-770-8447 and choose from the menu. 712-770-8447.
Phone records, financial and location data, Prism, Tempora, X-Keyscore, Boundless Informant. Hey, y'all, Scott Horton here for offnow.org. Now, here's the deal. Due to the Snowden revelations, we have a great opportunity for a short period of time to get some real rollback of the national surveillance state. Now, they're already trying to tire us by introducing fake reforms in the Congress. And the courts, they betrayed their sworn oaths to the Constitution and Bill of Rights again and again, and can in no way be trusted to stop the abuses for us. We've got to do it ourselves. How? We nullify it at the state level. It's still not easy, but the Off Now project of the 10th Amendment Center has gotten off to a great start. I mean it. There's real reason to be optimistic here. They've gotten their model legislation introduced all over the place, in state after state. I've lost count, more than a dozen. You're always wondering, yeah, but what can we do? Here's something important, something that can work if we do the work. Get started cutting off the NSA support in your state. Go to offnow.org.
You can put the Liberty Radio Network on the air in your area. Visit broadcast.lrn.fm to learn how. Broadcast.lrn.fm.
This is Free Talk Live. 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. Maybe you, for some reason, don't want to call in, but you still want to interact with other listeners and sometimes host of the show, well, you can do that in the Discord chats. I think there are numerous chats. I've got the thing popped up in front of me, and I count probably close to a dozen different chat rooms that are part of the Discord thing. Go to discord.lrn.fm. There's even a call-in line through the Discord, and generally people sound pretty good as long as they've got like a halfway decent microphone and half-decent connection on the internet. Discord.lrn.fm. Let's go back to Catherine calling in from somewhere on the road in Arizona. Catherine, you had called in, said that you were listening to some other talk show, and I think you said he was an attorney, was the guest on the show, stating that there are certain immigrants in California who have said that they may have voted in California elections and may or may not be conscientious objectors.
Well, actually, they didn't say they may have. They said they did, and it was attorney was being interviewed by Rush Limbaugh, but the guy that called in was an actual agent and ex-military person in California. Sound like a very soft-spoken, nice person. But what he was shocked about was how many of them, they just admit it. Like, they don't hold back. They just say, yeah, I did vote. Like, they didn't even get it because they had a driver's license. They got something in the mail to vote.
So
they go down.
Let me ask this question. Hold on, Catherine.
Nothing. And they were voting for Democrats.
Did they say that they were voting in municipal elections or they were voting in federal elections?
They were voting for the president, and they were voting for Hillary and Obama to help support them.
Okay.
I know, right? Like, it's crazy. And the guy went on to talk about the people as they were being vetted through the rest of the process about, some of it's ignorance and some of it is just us not doing a very good job on this,
So let me ask you, are you afraid of these people?
I'm not afraid of them, but living in Arizona, you experience the heroin problems, the drug trafficking, the human trafficking, and all that. And I mean, big time. Like, there is a war on the border in El Paso that's not being covered. I don't know why.
Well, I was going to say, because we have problems with trafficking of humans and a huge opiate problem and a huge drug problem, according to some, here in the state of New Hampshire, yet we have no illegal aliens to speak of really from Mexico.
Down here, the Mexican mob is alive and well.
Yeah,
I'm not afraid of anybody, but what I'm concerned about is, like, if we don't have respect for our country, why will anybody else? And we need to have better, indoctrination of being in our country so that we don't lose our country.
Well, what the response has been, and I'm going to go back to about the progressive area, Theodore Roosevelt and Woodrow Wilson, has been a system of indoctrination of our own people to believe that we have to have this nationalist mentality that people, American is, there is American exceptionalism, and we must defend, our rights to this great country. And part of me says, and believe me, I've called into the Rush Limbaugh show. I was once on Rush Limbaugh's TV show. I used to be a big Ditto head, but as I've gotten older, I've come to question some of those things and go, what am I so afraid of? I'm afraid of the guy that takes the job picking watermelons. I'm afraid of this guy this woman who crossed the border with her kids, and she's changing sheets at a Motel 6, a job that I don't want to have. And they see this, they come here because they see opportunity. And why would I want to come down hard on them and not demonstrate what's good about America? How this can be a land that you can, if you work hard, you can have opportunity. I'm sorry, go ahead, please.
I'm sorry for interrupting you, but you're talking, you're going to great extremes here. Of course, I don't not want to help those people. Those people are also being abused by our immigration not being done better. Because what happens is the criminal element comes in and runs the party. And I'll tell you what, in Arizona, there is a very, just below the surface, a lot of anger, and they refuse to speak language. They speak their own language to each other, and they've been here 20 years. And they just don't care because we have. And I'm like 4 Mexicans coming. I am.
Yeah. I can think of a group of people that have been in the United States for about 200 or 300 years that still speak their own language to each other, and they stick to themselves. They're referred to as Amish.
Yeah. The other.
Well, you know what?
Go ahead.
That's not the same now. I'm telling you, if you could see what's going on and the numbers of human trafficking and the hundreds of thousands of kids dying from heroin pouring over the border. No, it's not okay. We have to do it different.
Nobody is defending heroin overdoses, Catherine.
Yeah, but I would look to root causes, and because Trump speaks a lot about all the drugs flowing over the border, drugs flow into marketplaces because there's a market, and unfortunately we have such stringent drug laws. I mean, for God's sakes, marijuana is still considered a Schedule I drug. That you're going to have. We're a magnet for those drugs.
Against the laws. The police cannot enforce the laws against the heroin because they're not on the books yet. They can enforce laws against meth because it's on the books.
Right.
There are laws against heroin. Catherine, you're starting to break up. Thank you for the call.
Yeah,
heroin is illegal.
Is it?
If you don't have a prescription.
I can't get a prescription for heroin, Daryl.
Well, there's certain variants of
different opiates,
just like morphine.
Right.
You can certain things you wind up going to the doctors. They'll give you prescriptions for morphine. Generally, it's only used in the hospital, and heroin and morphine are basically the same drug.
They are, but the bigger point is she's very upset because drugs are flowing across the border. The key to that,
drugs flow into prison as well.
They do, but the key is when you have a drug policy that creates black markets, then yes, drugs are going to flow into your country. They're not going to be voluntarily regulated. They're not going to be sold by upstanding citizens. They're going to find their way into black markets where there's little or no oversight, and there's only a very perverted profit motive that will cause violence and death. So when we start complaining about the big Mexican problem and all the drugs, point your fingers at
the CIA.
Well, I was going to say Jeff Sessions, our current drug policy, and the drug policy of every president since FDR, because it's wrong. It's just flat out wrong. This is not how you solve it.
Right. Let's go to Sarah calling in from New Mexico. Sarah, you're on Free Talk Live. Go ahead with your thoughts.
Yeah, so there was 10 motorcycle accidents that ended in fatality here in Albuquerque the last 5 months.
Okay.
So from beginning of this year to until now. So that's about 2 motorcycles killed per month. So I'm assuming, I think this year we're going to get the number 1 in motorcycle fatalities too.
Is that high? I don't know motorcycle accident statistics, Sarah.
I don't keep up with statistics of that either. What's the solution? You call in and you keep identifying various problems. What are the solutions? Do you have a solution?
How do you solve this?
The solution is that, well, it's kind of, I think it's funny that New Mexico is number 1 in pedestrian fatality, pedestrian hit and run, and now we're going to be number 1 in motorcycle fatalities.
So do we ban pedestrians, motorcycles, and automobiles, or do you just point out problems but you don't have solutions?
The thing is, we have red light cameras.
That's not a solution, Sarah. Thank you for
the call, Sarah.
Your calls and thoughts welcome here in the closing moments. 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733.
Mother's Day sneaks up and we hit the panic button. We get suckered into online flower giants pitching $19.99 flowers that end up costing $60. Or we grab last-minute produce department flowers that smell oddly of green onions. That tells Mom you don't care enough to send flowers from the Bouqs. That's short for bouquets, and they're bouquing awesome. Bouqs flowers are as unique and special as your mom. They're freshly cut from Bouqs farms, delivered straight to your mom, so they'll last weeks, not days. Bouqs even has farm farms located on the side of a volcano that produce flowers so gorgeous, Mom will post pics of them and brag about you. And because Bouqs cut out the middlemen, you'll get amazingly fresh cut flowers at an amazing price. Show Mom how much you care. Send her artisan design flowers from the Bouqs. Order today and get an extra 15% off when you enter FTL. That's BOUQS.com. And remember to enter FTL to save an extra 15%. Bouqs.com.
Attention business owners and independent contractors. This is a money-saving message from Tax Mediation Services. If your business owes $20,000 or more in taxes, we can help you today, right now. Listen, dealing with the IRS is no picnic. It's an intimidating and extremely stressful process, and you don't want to go it alone. Our attorneys know every law, every tax break, and every possible opportunity to help you resolve and reduce your tax debt. And if you owe more than $20,000, you may be at the top of their hit list. So don't take your tax debt lightly, because it will not go away on its own. The IRS can seize your bank accounts, your home, and even shut down your business. Call our tax experts today at 1-800-261-9818 and let us deal with the IRS while you focus on your business. That's 1-800-261-9818. Again, 800-261-9818.
Why did you move to the Shire?
I moved here to the Shire because there's other people around who take liberty just as seriously as I do.
I moved to the Shire because I saw videos of people challenging authority and thought that I could get support myself. It called to me, like, do this right now.
I wanted to be around people like me who got it. And once I got here, I knew there was nowhere else that I wanted to be.
I've always wanted to change the world. So I moved to the Shire to join people who were actually working towards doing the same thing.
The people here are awesome, loving, and positive. It was for the adventure and for the feeling of something important is happening here. And I just wanted to come to sort of be part of that.
Visit ShireSociety.com to read and sign the Shire Society Declaration and learn the reasons why, if you love liberty, you should immigrate to the Shire. Plus, add yourself to the Shire map at ShireSociety.com. That's ShireSociety.com. If you want to know the latest about Free Talk Live before we go on the air, all you need to decide is how you want it delivered. It's your choice. Visit news.freetalklive.com. You can get emailed announcements and participate in contests via our email updates list. Plus, we have a Twitter account that you can follow and a Facebook page where you can become a fan. So visit news.freetalklive.com to get news about Free Talk Live as soon as it's announced and the way you want it delivered at news.freetalklive.com. That's news.freetalklive.com.
Looking for a great real estate investment? Consider New Hampshire, which is ground zero for the Liberty Movement. Your first call should be to Mark Worden from Porcupine Real Estate. He's more than just a real estate agent. He's your New Hampshire concierge. Where are the best places to live? Do you want farm, city, the burbs, or forest? Do you want a duplex or multifamily building so that renters pay your mortgage? There are homes in all price ranges in New Hampshire, and Mark can help with financing too. Invest in liberty and property. Mark Worden can help.
PorcupineRealEstate.com.
Help get LRN.FM into more ears. Visit promote.lrn.fm for a free bumper sticker, flyers, banners, graphics, and more. Promote.lrn.fm.
This is Free Talk Live. 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. That is the toll-free call-in line where you can call in and possibly join us here in the closing moments if you call in now. We'll get back to the stories that we have brought to the table. The we in studio tonight is Daryl.
And Chris.
And you're running out of time. Mother's Day is right around the corner. And yeah, it's getting time to hit that panic button. But please don't get suckered into one of those online flower giants that pitches $19.99 for flowers, but when all said and done, it costs you $60. And don't be the person that goes to the grocer and grabs produce department flowers that smell oddly like green onions. Because doing one of those things tells mom that you didn't care enough to send flowers from the Bouqs. That's short for bouquets, and they're bouquing awesome. Bouqs flowers are as unique and special as your mom. They're freshly cut from Bouqs Farms and delivered straight to your mom, so they last weeks, not days. Bouqs even has farms located on the side of a volcano that produce flowers so gorgeous, Mom will post pics of them online and brag about you to all of her friends. And because Bouqs cuts out the middlemen, you get amazingly fresh flowers at an amazing price. Show Mom how much you care. Send artisan-designed flowers from the Bouqs. Order today and get an extra 15% off when you enter code FTL. That's Bouqs, BOUQS.com. I'm looking at the website right now. It is not too late to get delivery for Mother's Day weekend, which is coming up this weekend. And remember, code FTL saves you an extra 15%. Bouqs.com, BOUQS.com. So, Chris, there apparently was a Chicago man that filled out a form with the post office.
He did fill out a form.
And he's now in trouble for having done so.
He did. This comes to us from NPR. Man allegedly used change of address form to move UPS headquarters to his apartment.
So UPS moved into this guy's apartment, and he was just helping them out by filing the paper?
As federal crimes go, this one seems to have been ridiculously easy to pull off.
Yes.
Deshaun Henderson Spruce submitted a U.S. Postal Service change of address form on October 26, 2017, according to court documents. He requested changing a corporation's mailing address from an address in Atlanta to the address of his apartment in Chicago's North Side.
All right. Well, companies relocate.
Sure. The post office duly updated the address, and Henderson Spruce allegedly began receiving the company's mail, including checks. It went on for months. Prosecutors say he deposited some $58,000 in checks improperly forwarded to his address.
All right. So before we continue on here, no, read that next sentence.
Yeah.
And then I've got thoughts.
The corporation isn't named in the court documents, but the Chicago Tribune reports that it's the shipping company UPS.
All right. So I'm wondering here if there's going to be some kind of verification process for changing an address now.
I kind of thought there already was. It's just one of those things that one would think in a normal world that post offices would do, but then I have to remind myself that it's the post office. And of course, there's probably not.
Right. And I'm trying to think because, like I've moved enough in my life to where I'm trying to think if I had to do any kind of verification when I've ever moved. There may wind up being something that goes to the old address. And, if you know where your future address is going to be before you leave the old address,
right,
there might be something that comes and says, if you didn't request this, then please, do something. I don't know. But one would think with as much mail as what UPS, a big, huge, giant company.
And this is their corporate headquarters. This is all the employees at corporate headquarters.
Right, but, there's probably a large amount of junk mail that goes to a business anyway. And then, we got some junk mail from the UPS. Throw it in the shredder. Nobody's going to open that.
Right.
Or if they do, what's this? And then they pass it to their supervisor, and then their supervisor puts his coffee on it and then forgets about it for a week.
Yeah. In a statement, I'm skipping around the article here, but in a statement to NPR, the U.S. Postal Service says it processes nearly 37 million changes of address requests last year, and not all change of address complaints turned out to be fraudulent. They say that they investigated somewhere around, I want to say it's
17,077. I just happen to have found that number.
Yeah. Fraudulent requests.
Those were just the complaints related to fraudulent changes.
Right. And they said that even, as a percentage of the ones that were actually legitimately incorrect were some, but it just kind of floors me that I could like put in a change of address form for Coca-Cola Corporation. They're out of Atlanta too, right? And have all their mail for headquarters just sent to my house and go through everything? Oh, look, I got a new credit card. I got checks at the mail.
Right, but what sort of charges is this guy facing?
Yeah.
I'm guessing mail fraud, conspiracy to commit mail fraud. The article says that when police went into his house, they found like 3,000 pieces of unopened mail lying around. So he's probably going to get at least one count of mail fraud for each piece of mail that they have.
Probably.
Probably some kind of charge for each of the checks that he wound up cashing. So, yeah, chances are this guy is going away to some prison for a long amount of time. And before you applaud that, remember, you're paying for this.
Exactly. So all this, you're going to pay in higher postal rates eventually. This will contribute to it because of incompetence by the post office.
When I said you're paying for this, you'll be paying for his incarceration.
Prison. Oh, yeah. I was just beginning the long list of things you're going to pay for.
Right. So,
but yeah, you're right.
Somebody might say, well, how would this be handled in a free market? You can't just have this guy running around. Well, no, in a free market, he would wind up reimbursing UPS for the at least $58,000 worth of checks that he improperly deposited.
True.
Any kind of violations of personal privacy or whatnot, like how do you make someone whole in that situation? It's difficult to wind up saying.
There's also the point that the U.S. Postal Service as it exists today probably could never exist in a libertarian society.
That was the event that happened last weekend.
I know. But the idea that the post office doesn't work without government propping it up,
right? And
there would be competitors, and those competitors would be incentivized to take care of people like UPS,
competitors
who would become their customers,
like the American Letter Mail Company that existed very briefly in 1845 until Congress said. No, see, where it says in the Constitution that we're authorized to create a postal service and post roads, that means that the Postal Service is the only entity that can deliver first-class mail. Yeah, we can have companies compete in second and third class mail, but first class mail, that's just too important to leave up to the free market. And Mr. Lysander Spooner, you're now going to prison and your company goes out of business.
I am honestly marking my calendar right now for January 19th, Lysander Spooner's birthday, because I do think we should celebrate that day.
Yes.
We'll mail things with 2-cent stamps on it. Wasn't he the
either 2 or 3 cent?
Yeah, it was basically because he kind of messed with the system and did something outside of it.
Well, at the
people
time,
were forced to buy them.
The post office was selling stamps for like 20 cents a piece, and he greatly reduced the price.
Right.
And now the post office can't wind up, changing their postal rates literally without an act of Congress. And it was 1844, not 1845. I think the business went defunct in 1851. So he competed for a good 6 years, possibly 7, depending on when in the 2 years everything wound up starting.
Before he was crushed, for daring to defy the powers that be.
You can't compete with us because we say so. It's not that he wasn't providing a good service. He was out competing the post office.
Right.
And they didn't like it. So when Chris says that the post office wouldn't exist in a free market, he means as it currently exists with a government-granted monopoly. That would not exist in a truly free market. We're out of time for tonight, but we'll be back tomorrow because we do this every night of the week, every night of the year, and we are always online at freetalklive.com.
So the protection of life, liberty, and property is what the Free State Project is all about. But it's an effort to move 20,000 people who understand.
It's about demonstrating to the entire country
that, we can have a free market, a truly free market. Making it just a freer, great place to live.
It's the the world's largest voluntarist libertarian community, and it's only getting bigger.
That's amazing. To be able to move to a place where other people passionately believe in being free and independent.
What the Free State Project is managing to do, though, is to put their money where their mouth is. It's physically getting up across the country and saying, let's go someplace and let's demonstrate the power of these ideas. There's a lot of